to the November 15th meeting of the Ware Board of Selectmen. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brings us to public comment.
Take this off so I don't steam up my glasses here. Hi everyone, I'm Luke Drake, 141 Duck Pond Road. Own a couple of parcels up there. And I've, as was noted in some of the minutes of the October 4th Selectmen Board meeting, I had some concerns with the Snowmobile Club's trail coming across the property, and I'd been working on that for a few years. Just curiosity, how many folks in here are members of that board, of that, organization, Snowmobile Club? If you don't mind my asking.
Board members only.
I am, but the board members not.
Okay. So, at any rate, I had revoked permission for the primary piece of my land. I own two pieces of land. They come to a junction at a point out there in the woods on the corner of the Forest Society property and what is now the town property. Used to belong to NBAC. There were surveys submitted on both of those occasions. I've been living here for 25 years and watch my property bounds pretty well. I know exactly where they are. So I was surprised to get contacted by the Snowmobile Club talking about moving a gate back onto my property off the town property, and that they were looking to extend the trail out through there up onto the mountain, or Mount Wallingford, for those who don't know where I'm situated. And so I asked the trail master about, how you getting across there. And he said, well, your two lots are not connected. And I'm like, well, that's not so. They are connected. I'm very aware they're connected. And he said, well, town tax map doesn't show that, and that's what we use. Now, I went and looked at some other things since this conversation. I don't know how many of you are aware of an application called Onyx out there. All right, so Onyx is something that's available to all of anybody who wants to pay for a monthly fee. You can get it by the state, you can get it for the whole country. And what it's for mainly is, recreational use of lands, forest lands, whatnot. I use it. I'm a big hunter. I hunt a lot. I like to hunt. I like to manage my property for hunting, and I like to manage people who are on it hunting. And so that was part of the conflict that I had over the years, is people intruding on my land and disregarding my intentions about the use of that land. So, at any rate, the problem with Onyx is they rely on town tax maps for their maps, right? So what happens is, Joe Hunter picks up Onyx, he goes out in the woods and he's looking at that. He comes across posted signs, and my land is clearly posted, well within the laws required by the state. And he looks up at the sign and he says, well, that ain't right. I got this Onyx thing, comes from the town, says tax maps are fine, I can cross here if I want to. And that's what they do. I got cameras on the property showing this time and time again. So this wasn't a big deal. I was policing that my own piece, that 20-acre piece that connects to the other one, as I said. And then I heard from the Snowmobile Club that they were putting trail through, so I asked, where are you putting it? And he said, right through there, your property's not connected. Well, it is connected. So I went back and started looking, because he said in further conversation that there had been some discussion about surveying and a right-of-way through the town property onto the Forest Society property. But as they used to say in the neighborhood I grew up in, a little bit further north of here, you can't get there from here without crossing my land. And I pointed this out, and I was rebuffed and told, no, the tax maps say that they can. And I said, well, I was out there with Robert Todd when he surveyed part of that piece. I'm very familiar with those bounds. I know where he drilled, I know where he sank, I know where they all are. And still, it turns out that the town itself, you all, in fact, voted 5-0 under item number 10 of the administrator's report to allow passage for the Ware Winter Wanderers through that piece. Now, I understand that was a mistake, and I understand that the boundaries were in question, but what I don't understand, honestly, folks, is when I look at the minutes from the last several meetings, I see you pay particular attention to boundaries and means and all of that when you were looking to acquire land, right? There's been a lot of conversation about that at this board and in these meetings. It reflects that. for several meetings in a row, you've been very particular about where your rights as landowners, new landowners as the town, come into play. In my experience, the new neighbor in an area ought possibly to talk to the old people that have been owning property on those bounds longer before they make decisions, allowing third-party transgressions across those pieces. It didn't happen in this case. I was not part of that conversation, and it turns out the board voted 5-0 to allow access through there. Now, I know in talking with the town administrator that, well, they didn't actually authorize transgression, and as far as we know, no transgression actually happened. That's not totally true, because there were folks out on there on that property surveying it. I talked to the folks from the Forest Society again. They confirmed not only that they were out there, but they told the gentleman involved from the Snowmobile Club that those posted signs send a message. There's a misunderstanding here. Either the landowner misunderstands the boundaries or the town does. Somebody needs to look into that further before we go further. That's the part that didn't happen. All right, folks, that came to you. Again, you had extensive conversation and minute-taking on other uses of other lands. This is a town piece. Another point I want to bring up is in the town minutes, it references an old road that goes through there. It's an old town road that goes through there. Now, I've got the original 1796 deed, and it talks about allowing the passage of cattle to abreast by somebody named Nathan Breed.
He lived down House of Breed Place.
Right. So I get that, but there's no town road, and it matters when you use words like that in town documents. It matters, because what it ends up doing is putting us landowners on the defensive to have to come to you and say, wait a minute, do we have a dispute as neighbors here? So that's my question to you. Do we have a dispute as neighbors about where my boundaries are versus where your boundaries? And if the answer to that is no, then I suggest, with all due respect, that you pay more attention to your property lines before you start giving permissions to any other organizations, because frankly now I'm pretty upset about the way this has transpired, and I am not motivated to work to bring a bunch more folks in there so that I can spend the next several years, like I've spent the last 20, policing my own property for the use of a third-party organization that, although it has a lot of ties to this community, and I recognize they do a lot of good work, in this case, they have not served, in particular, me very well. And I don't believe the town has served me as a 25-year taxpayer on those two parcels very well, in allowing someone else at least the inference that they could cross what is my land using your tax maps. Now, having said all that, there's another concern that this brings up pretty obviously. What are you taxing me on? If your tax maps are they wrong in my favor or are they wrong in your favor? And should you be concerned about that for all those properties? How many other folks are using this same publicly available information to make decisions about trails and trespasses out there, when that's not what they should be using? They should be using the Registry of Deeds, which all that information, again, was supplied to the town historically. I was around for both of those different property changes as an abutter to the NBAC piece. I received all that information at the time, so I'm not clear how the lines got skewed the way they did. I don't know how that happened. I don't know who draws these things or who references them from time to time. But again, the boundary we're talking about hasn't changed since 1796. You know, there's not much arguing with where the bounds are. There are granite pillars in the corners, and yet folks stood out there and said, well, that's not his property, that's our property, the town's. And then it came before you, and you voted all to allow folks to pass through there. Now, no transgression happened because I caught it during this conversation, but imagine we were having this conversation 6 months from now, and you all had allowed folks to cut across my land against my wishes. We'd be talking in front of a different forum, and that would be unfortunate for all of us. And property rights. Come on, guys. This is fundamental to the business of the town, and it's fundamental that the owners have some confidence that the town is paying attention when they give rights to use of public properties next to private properties. For God's sakes, do better. Any questions for me? I have all the information if anybody's interested in having more conversation about this, but I would like to understand from the board, do we have a property dispute?
I
be honest, I don't know.
It sounds like you have a concern that we need to look into.
That's correct. That's,
And I think I think it'd be fair to ask Naomi to look into pulling
The deeds.
the deeds of these and the tax maps, and let's verify where the issue lies. Is it with our side or is it with your side?
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
give us a little bit of time to look into that, sir.
Sure, and I will, but again, with respect, that should have happened before we got to this point. So I would encourage you all, as you consider these cases moving forward, that you do a little bit more due diligence before you approve third-party access. Thank you.
anybody else for public comment? Tom?
Just a couple of things. When you get to minutes later, I would appreciate it if you make a small correction, because the wording for, I think it's listed as number 4.
Was this last set of minutes?
Yeah, it's
November
on
1st.
page 3. It says that in speaking about the cost, educational costs of that land on North Stark Highway were developed, it would cost $200,000 per child, and that's not what I said.
No, no.
That was an indication, the Conservation Commission had said you could develop that with like 15 lots or more. What I said was if there were even one child per home, that it would cost the town over $200,000 a year. So if you could make just a couple of changes of words there would better reflect that. If I could leave this with Naomi,
Okay, thank you.
because it was different than what I said.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just wanted to bring up was, I noticed that on your agenda later, you'll be talking about contracts, and one of them being for cleaning services. And I'm not speaking against that in any way. It's just that I think we really have a need for a part-time person, even a few hours a week, because one thing that comes to mind that I've had people talk to me about on several occasions is the use of the town hall. I know that the main reason is that with the COVID crisis, that there has to be a specialized cleaning done in between events. And you don't have anybody to do that. I know that at least one store manager in town has said that in the case of the store, they use like some kind of a fogging machine or something in order to sanitize it on a regular basis because they have so much traffic in it. You wouldn't really need, I know you wouldn't need a warrant article in order to add some hours for a part-timer, because that's been in existence for so many years. My youngest son's 52 years old, and when he was a teenager, he and a friend cleaned this office building on a part-time basis in the evenings. And, we had a long-term person that was limited to 20 hours a week before we went to the cleaning service. So I'm not questioning the cleaning service or the job that they're doing or anything, but I think that as you work through the budget process, that if you could work in some hours so that there would be a way to take care of, simple things, the shoveling, the bathroom supplies here, but also for the town hall, that's really an asset to the town. A lot of people want to use it. They use it for, whether it's baby showers or, I had my daughter's 16th birthday party there. We could have had it at home, but it was special because we had it at the town hall. And there are a lot of people who use it for things like that that can't now. Not just groups, but families, for family events as well. So if you just include that in your conversations as you move through the budgeting process, I think it would be a great benefit to the town to have that usable again. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Frank?
Thank you. Thank you, Frank Campana. I did have a couple of things, but I'll try to limit it to one of your agenda items, which is setting the tax rate tonight. This was in, unfortunately, it's a liberal left newspaper, Concord Monitor yesterday. Consumer prices soared 6.2%. talks about gasoline, food, heating, you know, those types of things. I would like to suggest to the selectmen to consider the taxpayers first tonight when you set the tax rate. And I'll use as an example of that not happening. Last year, there was an article for last March for non-union employee pay raises, and it was set at 3%. Whatever the dollar amount was, it was. But the select person speaking to that article and speaking in favor of that article, the quote was, "There are a lot of hurting people out there." Well, this was an article specifically for non-union town employees. So my inference was that those town employees were hurting people. Nobody else was. Nobody else in the room at the highway garage was hurting, okay? Now, there are probably still some hurting people out there, irrespective of those non-union people, and the majority of taxpayers, all right? Whether they're unemployed, whether they're elderly or on Social Security, whether they're getting, you know, $3,000 or $3,600 per kid with the new government money that's coming through again. You know, still could be some hurting people out there. I have no idea what the tax rate might be because of the reevaluation. I'm sure it's going to drop. I don't know. You know, it's $23 now. Maybe it'll be $15. I have no idea. But I'm sure there'll be somebody in the room tonight that will get up after me maybe and say, well, you don't want to go too low. You know, you don't want to artificially deflate the tax rate, because next year you may not be able to, you know, to have the amount of money to offset that, to maintain that. Well, there's some rationale to that, all right? But this year, I would suggest to you to do whatever you can to lower whatever the tax rate may be because of the reevaluation. I don't mean down to zero, obviously, you know. But I asked and received information from the finance director, and she's always very patient with me and very responsive to me, so I always appreciate that. But one of my questions to her was, what is the estimated surplus, budget surplus for this year? And I think I understood it. I wrote it down. I think I understood it correctly. You're something over $500,000. Now, what the question in my mind, I don't know if that meant to that date, which was November 10th. I think I asked her projected to the end of the year, but I'm not quite sure. So anyway, you got $500,000 somewhere that will go into the undesignated fund surplus, I think. Again, I can be corrected. There are other monies that are going in there. There's a balance of about $7,000 from the overlay that's going in there. I don't know what she determined to set the overlay at for this year. But I guess you get my drift. I mean, this isn't my first time up here talking about setting the tax rate. And, you know, put the taxpayers first this time around and see what happens. Thank you.
Right. Anyone else, public comment? Okay. Department head committee items. Anybody, other than budgetary? Okay. Move on to budget presentation. Recognize Chief Bob Zena.
Does it sit on the chair?
I was here early. There you go. Good evening. Here with the 2022 Emergency Management and Fire Department budget presentation. We can just jump right into emergency management. Shouldn't take long. There's no proposed increase in any of the lines for emergency management. Any questions on that? How do you want to proceed on the operating budget for fire?
I would think changes. Is that
Yeah,
the board's
changes
consensus?
only.
Changes up and down.
Okay.
Unless there's something specific you wanted to point out anywhere.
I have nothing specific.
Okay.
So we go into this budget year like we did in the last 2 years, which is to be mindful of the fact that we've hired full-time people. We just completed our 3rd year, and we're in the 4th year of that 4-year plan, which was to add 2 employees per year to get to 8, and essentially replace the per diem and other mechanisms that we use to staff the station and respond on calls or have personnel available for that with full-time personnel. And that was done for many different reasons, but really the only way we're going to guarantee that we have people available to respond is to actually have them physically in the building. And as we projected back in 18 when we first started this, was that we would see call volume to go up, call force membership to, I think at best, plateau. And both of those were really kind of affected by, the pandemic over the last couple of years. One of the other important things that we learned with having our own employees is that we can require them to work. Whereas if they weren't our employees, we were at the mercy of whatever their full-time occupation was, if they worked for another department, whether they could work for us or not, whether they were quarantined from actions from their other department. There are a whole host of issues that cropped up. And so I think the full-time program has been beneficial from a management point of view. And I think it's also been a success, both the per diem and the full-time positions in the service delivery part of what we do. So with that said, recognizing that the taxpayers have put a lot of faith in what we do in the fire department, and have been very gracious in approving our warrant articles in the past year. The bottom line is that we're coming again for the 3rd year at default. And so we don't see any budget growth beyond what naturally would have occurred as we convert like a half-year employee into a full-year employee. I need my glasses. So the first increase that we see is in the full-time wage line for firefighters. We currently have a vacancy, and so the advertisement for that vacancy, we have to plug a number into the budget portion. And so one of the vacancies was hired at a price point that's lower than what we advertise that at, because we have a range of really the skill set being an EMT basic, advanced EMT, or a paramedic. We split the difference at the advanced EMT level. That's what we budget at. And so because...
Do you take fire certifications into account with that also?
Yes. Yep.
You do, okay.
And so because what you're seeing in the budget is a vacancy is being funded, so that's what caused that increase over the default number, if you will. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing that was an increase was overtime. Overtime, we went into the hiring of the employees. When we budget that, we budget a 10% factor for overtime. They had 10% of their wages to go into the overtime budget. Our experience in the beginning was on target with that, and as our employees become age, if you will, not age, but their tenure increases, is that we see leave usage that they're not eligible to use in that first year of employment. They start using in their second and third year, and so our experience with overtime exceeded that 10% piece. We also had vacancies in looking backwards, right? Two of those positions, we had some vacancy time there. We also had people on quarantine. Some of our full-time people were on quarantine. We had one of our employees, I think, was on quarantine twice. They also suffered an injury that they were out of work for a little bit of time. And so that overtime experience was larger than we had predicted, but in the case of having a vacancy, the money we were saving in salary and benefits more than offset that overtime piece. However, in the budgeting process, is we need to start accounting for the fact that we have employees that are eligible to take 2 weeks vacation, and we're seeing those employees take those 2 weeks vacation, and so this is a catching up with that part of it. And that overtime piece covers vacation, sick leave, callback, because a couple of our members live in the community, so if we need a paramedic, our paramedic that we have on the full-time staff might come out for that versus calling an intercept. The same thing with one of our advanced EMTs. It also includes training, and as you know, with any hourly employee, nearly everything they do incurs some sort of an overtime expense. To counterbalance those two increases, and also some of the ones that you'll see later on in the budget, is that we look to move that $14,588 out of call force wages to offset the increases that I just talked about, but also some of the other ones that exist down in the budget. Call force wages, there's probably 10 or 12, historic reasons why the call force, I think nationally we're seeing a decline in call force attendance. But I think the biggest thing over the last couple of years is that with the pandemic, we've seen really a couple different issues. One is some people who just can't afford to get sick, and so they're participating less. And we also see, as a management tool, is to try to hold people, not hold people, but to minimize the amount of people that we have on an incident to protect them and from being exposed if we don't need to. There are some calls that we need all the help we can get, and then there's some that we can use a minimal amount of people. That has affected the call force wage line. But it's also given us some room to move that down into the budget.
How many members do you have on the call force?
I think we just did the New Hampshire State Firemen's Association, was it 30? 28. 28. The next two, or the next one, which is Fire Medicare, is just the mathematics of we reduce wages. The next increase is an increase in FICA. We took, one of the challenges that we found is the ability to hire someone into a Group 2 job description. And so we took a step that is, in working with the state retirement system, and also through the town attorney, is to craft a way that we could use someone who isn't a Group 2 eligible employee to serve the role and function of that emergency medical technician or paramedic, but also still retain the ability to use them as a firefighter as well. That's a Group 1 job. The Group 1 benefits is a reduction in the cost to the employer for retirement, but it's an increase to the employer for FICA. It's also an increase to the employee for FICA as well. And so those two lines there, we have one person, I think this accounts for two? No. Just accounts for one person in that job description that's a Group 1 person. And so that kind of nets out a little bit of a savings to the town. Telephone is next. Maybe 3 years ago, our telephone and IT were intermingled with the police department. That could no longer be the case. And so in the separation of those two components, we ended up with a new phone system as well as a whole new data system as well. We've been trying, I think, since that inception to get that line to reflect the true cost of that telephone system. And that's what that increase is. The next increase is in the internet connection. That's an actual cost. And we have not only the safety complex fire station, but the one in the south end as well. One of the things that you're going to be looking at this evening, I think, is the dispatch contract. The proposed new contract number, that is the actual number that's in the new contract. And that's to remain in Goffstown on a 3-year term. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit. But as we spoke maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 sessions ago, we needed to secure that contract, and we both have a termination clause, if you will, or an escape clause to that. So that's the first year of a 3-year contract with them. The funding for the annual dinner, we don't do that anymore, so that came out. Under the insurance for the additional provident policy, that's like a supplemental insurance policy to workers' comp. That increased $12. There's also that runs out, or that policy contract, if you will, renews in 2024. Whether that'll go up or not, who really knows? Jumping down to EMS service contracts. EMS service contracts is a maintenance contract for 2 of our more expensive items that we have. One is the LifePak cardiac defibrillator monitor, and also the Lucas, which is an automatic compression, CPR compression machine. The reason why that went down so much is because the monitors are at the end of their service life. They're actually, this is year 10 for one of them. Because they're over 8 years old, they won't do a multi-year contract, so it's a yearly contract. The big drop in price is related to the fact that we just got batteries for those units last year. So the service agent that wrote this said he did not see us needing batteries, and so we were able to reduce that. That happened last year as well, as that price went down significantly. And again, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Your line 336 is software support. That went up $700, which is just about the cost of I Am Responding, which is a software service that we use that takes dispatch information as well as staffing information and provides, it coordinates those two things as well as navigation when the dispatch call comes in. So it's all kind of somewhat automated. And it allows us to, not only using the radio, but that members could use their cell phone to let us know that they are responding or how far out they are. And the last item, which was a bit of a budget breaker for us, is fuel. There's one item. I know lawn care's in our budget. That hasn't been decided yet, but that's gonna happen tonight. Was there another or just that? No, just that. It's our fire's stance that, I'll say whatever that increase is that we will get back to default. We'll make some arrangements and get back to the default number for our proposed. Questions on that? I was gonna go into capital. Are we
Yeah.
discussing that as well?
I think it's okay.
Yeah?
I don't see why not.
Like that one?
No, that
Close.
was your vacation.
Is that your password?
Yes, it's right there in case someone.
So, I can't remember what we've done here. Page down. Our mission statement, I say this every year, but our mission statement of the Ware Fire Rescue Department is to protect life and property and the environment within our community. We have citizen responders, right? We have a call force. We also have full-time people. But our citizen responders are prepared to deliver the highest quality service in response to fire, medical, and other emergencies. And we will execute our duty in a respectful and professional manner with all the courage, honor, integrity that is the underpinning of our vocation. We take those three words, courage, honor, and integrity, fairly seriously, and we actually write those on the side of our vehicles. In no particular order, I tried to make it somewhat coherent. First up, we're going to have a warrant article, as you heard Jack's presentation, which he has, right? Jack Dearborn?
Yep.
Is an ambulance. The ambulance that we're intending to replace is the 2009 GMC ambulance. That is not a picture of it, I don't believe.
That's A1.
Has 85,000 miles. That doesn't sound like a lot of miles, and frankly, it's not really a huge amount of miles, but that is a vehicle that we have suffered a fair amount of mechanical issues with. But the purpose of replacing vehicles in a timely fashion is to minimize that operational downtime. We've spent about $20,000, just under $20,000 on that vehicle in the last 6 years. And one of the benefits of replacing that ambulance is that we'll gain a patient loading system, which coupled with our power cots, which this is an example of one of those, it allows us with very minimal staffing of 2 or 3 people to be able to get that patient into the ambulance with the least amount of risk to our people in doing so. We just, this past week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, we got ambulance 2 back from the shop. It had suffered a broken differential or part of a differential. That was about $3,600, and it was probably out for a month or close to it.
Chief, what's that, the power cots that we purchase last year, where you.
Yep.
They will interface with the system? Is that-
Correct. Yep.
And what is that system rated for weight-wise?
Good question. I think it's 700 pounds. I think you know this answer. You, no?
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's 700 pounds. So Goffstown uses this. We have occasion to use theirs every once in a while when they come into the town to help us out. It's pretty slick. You
We
just
had
get
that.
caught up to it and lock it in, and
We had that at Tri-Town, and it was a lifesaver.
yeah.
The
Yep.
back saver.
Back saver.
Exactly.
It's a back saver.
Workman's comp. claims drop a lot,
Unfortunately,
too.
you know, we see a lot of patients who, you know, that are more than 200 pounds. So,
Thank you.
and we may only be out there with 2 people. The next warrant article that we see, or we have designated, is the replacement of our cardiac monitors. As I spoke, they are at the end of their intended service life. We run the risk with the units that we have is that if they need to be serviced, and we just had one recently with an issue that they thought was going to come back to the motherboard. There are no motherboards available for those machines anymore because they stopped servicing them a couple of years ago. Fortunately, it wasn't that. They replaced a bunch of other parts and we got it back.
The
It's-
LifePak 15 isn't the current model anymore?
It is the current model. We've been holding off. The reason why we haven't really been here doing this is we've been holding off expecting a significant change in the units. It seemed like Physio, or maybe it was Stryker after they bought them, is they kind of were dangling out, oh, there's something new coming, you know, it's in Europe, it's all in, but it just is not materialized. And so we find ourselves in the predicament of replacing the units with new units that have some better functionality, but it isn't like it's not a paradigm shift to something way better.
And how much are those units?
Great question. Those are about 35,000 apiece.
Is there any money in the money that the town got this spring? Is there any money there that can be used to,
Yes. So, back last year, they had a program where it was essentially a 2-for-1 sale, which seemed very attractive, but it also seemed to me that, hey, we're going to try to dump all of the old stuff that we have because the new one's right around the corner. Well, the new one apparently isn't really right around the corner. We inquired of whether or not that program was still available. They said, well, it's not really available. However, we were willing to, or Stryker was willing to give us a really good trade number per unit that got us back to where it was almost a 2-for-1 kind of cost. I said, okay, well, you'll have to put that in writing, which they did. And so they gave us a price for 2 with is it 5-year contract, Beth? I'll just say a 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty on the thing. I think it,
you have my computer, so.
yeah, I think it's 5. Taking our trade, essentially, feature for feature for the new units, and they gave us a grand total price of $52,610.42. Awesome price. For 2. We have in our budget for capital $75,000, because that's the price that we got when we were talking about that. Have to order by the end of the year. So that's one of my questions before I get done. So probably a week after that, The state of New Hampshire's governor's office came out with a locality equipment purchase program. And what that does is provide support up to $50,000 per New Hampshire locality, cities and towns, for purchasing safety and emergency equipment as needed as a result of response to the health crisis and its negative effects. We made application to that the next day, to see if this was eligible equipment for that program. We haven't heard back that. I can't imagine it's not, but we haven't heard the answer to that.
But you
What I was going to ask this evening was, I guess, it's the same question, it just has two variables to it. One is, if the fire department is able to purchase that within our budget, is to make that commitment for $52,000 with the hopes that it is eligible under that program and that $50,000 will be coming back to the community, I would assume in 2023.
And you're just talking for the life pack, you're not talking for a Lucas.
Correct, just the life pack portion. The Lucases are fine.
Fine.
So that was and the couple benefits of that are, we get it sooner, we get it less expensive,
Very
right? So we
guaranteed
save
price.
arguably $20,000. Potentially get it for the cost of, I forget what the difference was, less than $3,000. And everybody's happy, and we get to pull it off the warrant, so there's one less warrant article to read and vote on. We have mostly the same article for full-time employees. The numbers have changed slightly. It was surprising how close the numbers really were to the article that had been on there for 3 years. So essentially looking for $100,000 to hire 2 full-time firefighter EMTs. It represents wages, taxes, benefits, and certain one-time expenses, turnout gear, uniforms, and physicals, like startup cost stuff. And that's good for 25 weeks worth of that.
So essentially double that, and then that would be put into your operating budget.
That's the next slide.
Okay.
So the next slide, it answers 2 questions. One is, what is the give back? Because we've been giving money back. And the question that Mr. Campana always has is, tell me the whole year cost. So the article typically says, if approved, the fire department operating budget will be reduced by what had been around $35,000 per year is, we'll give back $81,502, a reduction in the budget. And so the annual cost is $187,000 and change, or $188,000, but the feels like number is gonna be about 100, which they've been all along.
And this is the last, I want to say the last installment of 4 that you had projected years ago.
Yep, this gets us to 8.
Full-time personnel,
Yep.
Which gives us 24/7 full-time coverage?
Correct.
7 days a week.
Yep.
By doing this now, you'll probably reduce the cost of the EMTs that are on standby and stuff, because you'll have full coverage.
Yeah, so in 2022, this warrant article, if it passes in March, covers the half year. We still have to fund the front half of the year for the per diems and all the other things that we're doing. And then in '23, which we'll talk a little bit about that now, but in '23 is that front half piece, which is 76,000 will either become eligible to be used in other places, with one thing we're gonna talk about in a second, or just come right out of the budget, or offsetting the cost, right? I mean, it's, And again, that's basically what we've done for the last 3 years. The last warrant article, and this kind of goes to the radio discussion, is to see if the town will vote to join the Capital Area Mutual Aid Fire Compact. And this is the suggested warrant article from Keith Gilbert, the chief of the Mutual Aid Compact. The Capital Area Mutual Aid Fire Compact is a district fire mutual aid system established under RSA 15430-F, which we all know that that's about county government. Membership will convey to the town of Ware and the Ware Fire Rescue Department all rights and responsibilities contained, yada, yada, yada. The reason why we're going to see this in '22 is to set the stage that if the voters say yes, we will progress to having the cost of this show up in 2023. But allows us arguably 9 months to get everything in place for that move. Why are we doing it now? We're doing it now because, as Jack, I believe, described, is if the vote, well, let's say if the voters say yes, this is where we're headed. If the voters say no, then we need to do something with the radio system when they rebuild the radio system. The price tag for us is, I couldn't really get a good number, but I think it's like four and a quarter. For our portion of it, it's $420,000 to remain in Goffstown Dispatch with a very real possibility that Goffstown at some point says, we can't support you anymore and you need to go somewhere else. And so if that happens, you know, really in the end of this contract or the end of the next contract, that's $400,000 that we spent for our portion of the radio system we really can't use anymore, because most likely we're going to end up at capital at that point. So I think now is the time to sort that out. So I just made a couple of notes. What's RSA 154 and change? It's just enabling language that municipalities belonging to a system such as the mutual aid system, we can raise money and spend it on that purpose. Just kind of those hidden enabling languages that exist out there. The compact bylaws that are referenced in the warrant article, I have a copy of them if anyone wanted to look at them, but really they're not overly restrictive. It says we have to have a tanker, which we do. We have to have a radio or radios in the vehicles, which we do, or we need to maintain that as well. We have to stay in good standing, which that just makes sense. And we have to give each other, we have to give them 18 months notice if we wanted to pull out and go do something else. They can only throw us out really by a vote of the membership because we're not fulfilling the obligations of the bylaws. And one of the other things that popped up was, well, we're an SB2 town. What does that mean? How is that interpreted? The only thing that we really had to go on was Epsom, New Hampshire is also an SB2 town. This is how they interpret and have been acting since they became an SB2 town. So they treat it as a contract. And again, it's that once it's approved, it's in there as a default number. But if we get a default budget, and we've discussed this quite a bit because it reads as though it doesn't automatically escalate, but it is defaultable. But we will have more clearer information on that. I think that's the last one. Oh, no. How do we pay for it, right? So it does cost more than Goffstown. And so the places in the budget that we would see, and this would not take place till 2023's budget, is what we pay Goffstown Dispatch, which I think is roughly $25,000 in 2023. We have the radio maintenance contract. I would imagine that there would there potentially could still be part of a number in there for the stuff that's in the vehicles. But the vast majority of that money would become available. And then we don't pay it, but it's in the budget somewhere, is the cost for Eversource to power the remote sites. It's not a lot of money, it's like less than $2,000, $1,100 or something like that. So there is some money there, but I think the bottom line is the net effect would be is doubling the cost of that. I should have made one more slide of all the benefits of going to capital. It's not just the dispatch. We also get a hazmat team. Central New Hampshire hazmat team is part of that. We get the Keith Gilbert, who acts as a mutual aid coordinator, but essentially a chief level personnel that show up on the scene to assist in an incident or a fire incident. We get use of their bariatric equipment. That's part of the, I want to say that's out of Concord. I truly think that, and I know there's more. So it also supports that I am responding piece. It also allows for the dispatch information to be fed into the TEMSIS and incident reporting systems. It's a very robust dispatch system that consists of, I think, 7 radio dispatching towers, simulcast towers.
Also has Lakes Region as a backup in case Concord goes down.
Well, it has a backup, right, because we know now that there is no backup to Goffstown, but there is a backup system with Lakes Region. In one of the other parts where the radio maintenance piece is because Capital Area owns all of the radio equipment, transmitting and receiving, is that maintenance cost is borne by them. I mean, it's paid by the members ultimately, but that's something that is spread out amongst 22 towns versus just one town. And and we're all going to see the real cost of a radio system when we do the police. I don't know if you want to give permission to pursue the Life Pack purchase one way or the other. The one caveat that I will say is is that I think we could contain that in our budget in this year. But it may require, that above the line intruding into that, into wages or surplus in wages.
It would qualify under ARPA, would it not?
I don't know. I would think so, but I don't know.
What
To
if-
me, the back of my
what if-
mind.
What if we earmark it for ARPA with the hopes that he can get the funding through the state for 50 grand? This way, it doesn't come out of his bottom line budget, doesn't come out of the taxpayer's coffer, if you will. It comes out of that 900,000+, with hopes that the 50,000 comes from the state.
My only concern would be that the feds say it's a maintenance item rather than
I think it's a $50,000 gamble is,
It absolutely is. I don't disagree with that.
that's my opinion.
What's the board think?
I don't know, I mean, he was gonna take it out of the
I like John's idea
revolving
better.
fund. He's gonna take it out of the revolving fund, so it's still not gonna cost us anything.
No, I think the request was to come out of the bottom line budget. There's money there.
Yeah, the
The
vehicle.
initial request has come out of his budget this year,
Not the fund,
not the fund.
the operating budget.
But the warrant article
Was
would
gonna come out of
would
the
come
fund.
out of his,
His budget.
no,
the
wouldn't-
fund.
it would come out of the vehicle maintenance fund.
The 75,000 warrant article
Yes.
would come out of the special revenue fund.
Yes.
If it gets to the
If it
warrant.
gets that level, if it goes that far. But,
So if he's
but
down
this
to
purchase,
if he's down to 52,000, then that warrant article would drop down to 52,000.
the warrant article would come right off.
'Cause he'd be
If we
buying
go
it.
this route, yes, but if we
Correct.
don't, it
My-
would.
my
No, because that deal expires the end of the year.
Right,
That sunsets December 31st.
right.
So this is that's why we gotta
gotta
react
do it.
now.
Spending money and not know when you're gonna get it back.
Right, that's my thing. But it sounds like the chief has already said that his budget will support it if need be. He'll have to do a little shucking and jiving and robbing Peter to pay Paul,
No, no,
but,
I think what his comment was, is if you remember, we froze all the wages.
Yes.
So he said that if he could sustain it in his budget,
If
with
he
the
could-
idea he'd have to creep over that line into the
From-
wage savings.
right, exactly.
Yeah, just
But just for this
full
fiscal year.
disclosure that
Yeah.
we could contain it in our budget, but it might take all of the lines of the budget to make that happen, so to speak.
For the 2021 year, but,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
so, right. But it could be done if it had to be, and we got rejected on that state,
State 50,000.
right?
Well, and I think the financial sense of it is the price we were given for March or April, right, is $20,000 more.
Right.
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 I don't, regardless of what fund it's coming out of, I think that fiscally it makes sense to not spend extra $20,000 for the same thing.
I don't disagree at all with that. I mean, we can try ARPA, but again, I don't get a warm and fuzzy on it, that's all.
Well, it's not gonna make a difference till we come time to actually submit it to ARPA. We don't submit it right away, we submit it down the road, do we not?
We still have to buy it.
You still have to
Well,
have
yeah,
funds
buy
to
we still buy it
Right,
from his budget.
from his budget.
budget.
And then either we reimburse from ARPA or reimburse from this,
State.
the state fund that he was
Right.
talking
If,
about.
if the state comes through, then we put the ARPA to bed. If
Yes.
it doesn't, then we pitch it.
That'd be it.
That sound legit to
I think
everybody?
it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $20,000.
It's a lot of
No,
money.
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that we're forecasting to save before the end of the year, moving forward.
Motion made it, then. Made the motion.
You have?
I have.
Well, that's awesome. Is there a second out there?
I'll second it.
Exactly.
To go ahead and allow the chief to spend the up 52,000,
52 and change.
52, and change, whatever the exact number is.
I think it's less than 53.
52, 610, 42, I think.
52610.42.
Yes, that number. Go ahead and spend that for 2 life pack 15s.
Yep, as described in this.
Yep. As described in his, what was that,
I guess
PowerPoint?
I guess that's a
Quote.
quote.
There's a
Quote.
quote.
Not gonna see that.
52, 610, 42 from Stryker, with the intention of the money to be reimbursed either through, what's the name of that fund from the New Hampshire government?
Locality equipment purchase
The
program.
locality equipment purchase with the excess to come from his budget, or if that fails, then to come out of ARPA. And you could reword that to make it a lot shorter, I'm sure.
Still seconded?
Yep.
Discussion. Question, where it's the fire department budget, are we the agents to expend or is Board of Fireworks?
He's asking us to do
Well,
it.
if I may, I think that
That was the question.
right. So I think that the Board of Fire Awards could just go out and make this purchase. I think that it had always been my approach, and I think this board, or we've heard it over the last few years, is kind of anything below the line, right? So wages were had always been off
Off limits.
as far as discretionary spending, if I can use that word. And so in years past where, I'm trying to think of something that we've done where it's like, we could do this, but I don't have enough room below the line to do it, so I'm gonna need some funding that is in the wage portion of the budget, that I've always come here to say, here's what we can do, but, you know, that money that we would typically return, right, we may need some of that. And that's been a decision that's been here.
I mean, I'm 100% behind the thought of the town, of us being agents to accept the money from the state and/or expend the ARPA money. We are the agents to do that, I believe.
Yeah, because the money's gonna come to us, it's not gonna go to the Board of Fire Wards.
Right.
Right, so I think that that's part of the motion that definitely needs to be in there for us. I'm just thinking that, just, you know, where that was kind of been the responsibility of the board, that's all. So-
Yeah, there's one other line in the documentation that Beth pointed out, is that the cost of the equipment must not have been reimbursed or covered by other state or federal programs or agencies. So I think the ARPA piece,
Would be after the.
I don't know what ARPA qualifies for. That would, so we wouldn't be able to use ARPA money for,
No,
Yes?
not to purchase it and then get reimbursed. We can use the operating budget money
right,
to purchase it,
Yeah.
and then the reimbursement would go to general fund.
Correct, right.
Yep.
But,
But if we don't get approved for this, I think that's what John's saying, then
Then-
we can purchase it.
Then we can go to the
yeah, ARPA,
ARPA.
right, that's exactly what I
Gotcha.
interpreted it as, right, so. All right, any other discussion? Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, abstentions? Thank you, chief.
and that's all I got.
Actually, while you're still here, email from Naomi regarding East Ware Fire.
You almost got away.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot all about
Furnace.
that.
Furnace,
Yeah, so, I went over my time limit. So, last week, I attempted to restart the oil burner in the East Ware Fire Station. I couldn't get it to go. We called Irving in. He was pretty confident he could get it to go. He called a half hour later saying he needed a primary control, which really isn't that bad, and the fuel pump also needs to be replaced. With that being said, he really couldn't guarantee. He said it looked pretty sketchy to him and probably should be replaced. He red tagged it. I got in contact with Naomi. I said, we can talk about it Monday, what our options are. I think our options are replace it. We could try to fix it. Or we could do neither and pull the truck out of there and put something in there that won't freeze for the winter. But
How often is that truck used? Is it rotated out or?
not very.
Okay.
However, that doesn't mean that people that live in some radius of that station receive some benefit on their insurance. Not every insurance carrier uses those the same, well, they don't all use them the same way, and, but there are some that really just want to know, well, where's the closest fire station, and if it's within 5 miles, you get some sort of credit for that.
Does the fire station have to have a fire apparatus inside?
Some of them ask.
Silly question, but.
Some of them ask, some of them don't.
You'd
But
hope
like
if you
putting a
lived over
boat or
there,
a
you'd have
trailer in
that.
there would qualify.
I don't know the answer to that, but we certainly have stuff that we could change out that wouldn't be affected by,
What's the cost to repair versus the cost to replace? Has that been determined yet?
has not been determined. We roughly know the cost to replace, because we just did it at
so,
the South Station. I don't know what the cost was, but,
8,000?
yeah, that had AC put in. We
But
don't
that's a
need that.
lot bigger building.
A lot bigger furnace.
Yeah, but, I would say you're in the ballpark there.
and it's now the time where it's on the fence, is the time to switch to propane,
Yes.
because that's,
That,
It's
we
fuel
agreed,
oil.
we agreed on that.
yeah, I'm 100% behind
We
that.
had agreed on that earlier,
Yeah,
'cause,
Is there
100%.
running water in that building?
No,
no,
How old's
So-
the furnace that's in there now?
oh,
Old?
64,
Yeah.
64?
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, it's old.
It is old.
it's been there as long as I've been
I
around.
was gonna say,
How old are you?
that's in
No, I've been on the department
That's in the
15 years,
80s.
so, been around for that many
Yeah.
years at least.
yeah, it's old.
Keep going.
All right, so there you go. So it's been there a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's heated it.
Took a while to find the
I mean,
fence.
I think it's,
Where is it? I was
it's,
looking
it's
for it the
our
other day
invest,
too.
it's our property, come on.
It's step ladders
I
in
mean, we
front of
just put $4,800 on
Yeah.
the roof, and now we're not gonna do something with the furnace?
Yeah,
Kinda silly.
right.
Would you do that at home?
No.
Right.
Well, on top of it, you'll
Grab
end
another
up
blanket.
saving, after a few years, you'll probably, you'll save quite a lot just on fuel if you go to,
Propane versus fuel oil.
Well, just the cost and the price difference.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing with propane is the
More
maintenance
efficient.
involved in that unit is much less,
Cleaner.
way cleaner.
Yeah.
So I think what we could do is we could
It's
get,
the only
we
one
could
we
get a
have,
quote,
I think.
we could get 3 quotes.
Get 3 quotes. Yeah.
It's the only fuel oil we buy here,
The only thing we have home heating fuel is this building and that building.
or
Yeah.
this building does.
Yep, this building is number 2.
But we can get quotes and,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I would say let's get some quotes together.
For propane.
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely the way to go. Okay, I think that's all we have for Chief, and probably all the Chief has for us, I would assume. All set?
that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to the next budget presentation, which is the library.
Yeah, I got handouts.
Thank you, Clay.
Thank you.
Oh, you gave me 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Get myself a little situated here. Okay. All right, I do have, I do want to make have a little speech, give a little thanks for Thanksgiving. Would you like me to do that first, or you want to talk
Sure.
about, the budget first?
Go for it.
Okay, yeah. Well, so in 2021, I'm just going to highlight some of the things that happened at the library this year. And for one thing, we added 5 new air conditioning units. This is the facility improvements that we made. I'm on the 3rd page here. We also, we got 3 new desktop computers. We added a garbage storage container. We have brand new shelving for the fiction collection. Looks great. We also had to replace the carpet that was underneath the old shelves, and we repainted the entire interior of the main floor. We've also added a new website, wearepubliclibrary.com, and we have a new mascot. I think like last year when I did this presentation, I mentioned that it had been named, I announced it, his name was Merlin, the magical reading owl. We also have a new logo, if you can see on the top, if you haven't seen it yet, that was designed by Lindsay Hilliard. And the logo is also on our new library cards right here. So that's what our library cards look like now.
Nice.
Yeah. Would you like me to pass it around?
Sure.
Sure.
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah. But if you want to replace your old library card, it's going to cost you $1, so, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, those things weren't cheap. All right. So anyway, I'm very thankful for our staff, Thelma, Karen, Roberta, Dina, Aristine, Patricia, Corey, and Paulette, who's our sub. I think it's great that they're very selfless. They're there to serve the community. Like everybody who walks through the door, they do everything they can to meet the needs of that patron.
Would you like to see it?
And I just think that's great, you know, that they're there to maximize community service, and they're always trying to improve. They're always thinking of ways to improve the library, and so that's something as a director, that's something, you know, that's more than I can ask for. We did hire Corey. This was back in June as our children's assistant librarian. She's fit in very well, and especially with our younger patrons. And I'm also pleased with the staff that what they're doing, helping in building our collection and also promoting our collection. For physical materials, we're seeing a shift away from audio and video and more towards books. And so that, especially with our easy reader books, our graphic novels, and our adult fiction, we're seeing large increase in demand for those items. Also, with funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, this is not like through the funding that you guys are getting, but instead what is going through the state library, we were able to purchase science-themed games and kits. And we were also, we handed out this year this 550 take-home craft kits to the community. In June, we started having in-person events. Since then, we've had 70 in-person events with a total attendance of 1,157. And our summer reading program was also very successful. We had about 1,200 participants in that. And Karen is also planning another fun winter reading program. She had one earlier this year, and she wants to do another one. So yeah, I'm just on the last page, because many of you might have somebody, maybe a child or grandchild, who might be interested in some of these events that we're having, but they're not all just for kids, because some adults are into video games or board games, or else cribbage or knitting or our book group or something like that. So you might want to check out on the last page. That's just for your informational purposes. A lot of the stuff the events that we have going on for this is about just the next 3 weeks or so. So, late November and early first half of December. So you see, we're very active, got a lot of stuff going on. But again, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I have a lot of thank yous. Parks and Rec, these are the groups, organizations that assisted us with our events. We collaborated with Parks and Rec, with the Ware Pickleball Club, with AG Paintball, with the Rough Readers, with authors Marjorie Burke and Ellie Atherton, with the Independence Financial Advisors, did a retirement planning program. Historical Society, especially since we're going to do that Christmas event, is going to be on Sunday the 5th. And Ware's Farmer Market, we've done events with them. And a big special thanks to the Friends of the Library, as they provided the majority of funding and support for our programs. Also, I don't want to leave out Where in the World, because they have promoted all of our events, so I appreciate that too. I also like to thank Harmony Lodge, the Hillsborough Masons, as they provided bikes as prizes for summer reading. AARP rep Jim Lucerne, I think but he assisted patrons with their tax returns. The preschool Ware Village Kids Academy, where we will grow childcare for storytime visits. We had car drives with the 4th grade teachers at the middle school, and also Leah Gendron, who's a teacher at John Stark High. Also, we've also provided cards for her students. I'd also like to thank our teen volunteers, Jake and Molly LeBrun and Nathan Peters. We had several people make donations in the memory of Esther Mary Hadley and also Lois Jourdain. And the family Michael Sullivan, his family provided a granite memorial table that's now sitting out on our lawn that's between the Historical Society and our library. It's a beautiful table, and we're very appreciative for that donation. Benji Knapp and his crew, they removed all of our old shelving, and so it's really cool that they did that for us. They did it just for pizza. So it was a good
They
trade-off.
do a lot for pizza.
Right.
Food.
Yeah, it's just like college, back in college, if you want people come out to your events, you just give them pizza, so, yeah. Thanks to Benji and his crew, and also Beth for her assistance with all the personnel budget. So I very appreciate that. She really helps me out with that. And also the Board of Trustees and the Library Foundation for their trust and support. Most of all, thank you to all of our patrons, the citizens of Ware. That's why we are here. So thank you to our patrons. Right, lots of things go around. Let's move on to the budget, which is the first couple pages. On the second page, that is more of a breakdown of the personnel costs. And you will see that most of the reason why we see an increase is for the payroll, because the town vote that was in March on 2021, there was that increase in wages. So that's why we have an increase in our overall budget. We did hire, this was approved in last year's budget, we did hire that children's assistant. And then also Karen Metcalf is now a full-timer, so that's why we've seen the increases. But overall, our operating budget is actually going to be $45 less than last year. So there's not really that many major changes in our operating budget, but are there any questions that you have? Okay.
On the page 2, you broke down the payroll.
Right, yeah, that's the payroll breakdown, and again, the difference is due to that, that increase that was voted in back in March. So that's the reason why we see a difference, because the increase didn't happen until April, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Does the board have any questions?
On your 2022 proposed building maintenance, you went down $700, $800?
Yes, we were fortunate last year, we didn't need to spend much money on building maintenance. The unexpected could happen. It's, the town's library, and so maybe the building belongs to the town, so maybe if we needed to, we could ask for capital improvements. But overall, we were like, I'm not really, it looks like everything's fine and operating, and so, I think,
Okay.
there are a few improvements that the town's going to help us out with using the ARPA money that was improved. That's the shades in the windows. So, but that's not in this budget.
Yeah, board members have questions? I think it's a very, very trim budget, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
So
Yes,
I applaud that, 100%.
thank you.
Questions?
Can I ask a question about the
Yes.
last page?
Sure.
Is that something you put out all the time for events?
Yes, I try to put it out once a month.
Okay.
So, yeah, and if you go to our website, we'republiclibrary.com, you can also find the events there, also on our Facebook page as well. So that's probably better because that's more updated, because I only put these out so often.
Okay.
So, because we're adding events all the time. I'm very proud of that. We're going to be starting after-school gaming on Mondays. That's starting this next Monday. And a lot of that is because the children at the middle school, they have there's a gap between the time when they get off school and then they have to attend practice, like they have basketball practice coming up.
Okay.
So at least on Mondays, we can provide a place for them to
To go.
hang out and play games.
Awesome.
So,
Much appreciated.
oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You follow that, right?
I know, right? Clay, you made that really hard.
Yeah. Brings us to Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Beth.
Did you get your card back?
Oh, no, I don't think,
Oh,
Where did that circulate? Oh,
like I said, these things ain't cheap.
it was show and tell, Frank. You gotta hand it back.
There, you want to talk about it?
Hello, everybody.
did we get a handout?
Yeah. You gave me one.
I got one.
Sorry.
Filed it.
But I think you gave me something that doesn't belong to me.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
It's all right. Janine
Carry
Lynch,
on.
Park Chairman. So tonight we're here and we have a couple increases we're asking for. So right at the top, we're asking for $2,500 for increase in employee wages. So at Chase Park, it's been practice for returning employees to get 25 cents. And last year, we didn't even quite have from 2020 to 2021. We didn't have even about a third employees return. So we're hoping that after all the training this season, that we can get a higher return of people to come back, because they're all really young. It's not like they're gonna age out and go off to college or anything. So we're hoping by asking for $1 an hour per person for returning employees only, so we could retain some of all the staff that we trained and not have to start brand new again with another young staff. So we got that number by, we're open about 1,000 hours a season, and we have about 2.5 people on average at the park while we're open. So the $2,500. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Next, we have outside services. So this is porta potties. So we have currently, right now, we are spending, so we're over budget on porta potties to the point where we take it from other lines to make it work, because right now with what we have for porta potties at Inison, Purington, and Bolton, and the library, we spend $804.45 a month. And they're for 7 months, so through April and October. So, which comes out to roughly $6,700. And we're hoping to also make it work to add 1 or 2 more porta potties.
At what
Let's see.
locations?
1 more at Purington and 1 more at Inison, because both of those places only have 1 right now. And sometimes, like Purington, sometimes we have 3 soccer games. That's little kids, so you can actually get 3 fields at once during soccer season. And then Inison too, during soccer, they also share. Sometimes there's 2 practices, 2 games at once, because the younger kids don't take up as much space. So that's where we're at with the porta potties. So a lot of it's increase in fees, and then hoping to increase the quantity that we have. And also, yeah. Any questions about that? Next, we have rubbish removal. So that's the dumpster company. Right now, we're with Naughton and Sons, and this was just the increases that they passed along with just the cost without changing any quantity or amount of, because right now where we're at with the 2-yard at Inison being $95 a month, the 4-yard at Bolton being $140 a month, and the Purington field has 2-yard for $95 a month, and Chase has 4 yards for $210 a month, being $540 a month, ends up being just under $4,000 for the season. And we're also hoping to be able to work on maybe some of those during the summer, not needing to be emptied if they're not actively used for all the practice, and for July. Because most of the teams go right into the end of June, but then they start up in the middle of August. But that July month's usually kind of dead. So we're going to see if, are they going to charge us to haul it away for a month and then bring it back? Or will they suspend it for a month and give us a discount? So we're hoping. But if not, that would be the increase we need just to keep with their fees that they're charging.
Are they charging us monthly for the dumpsters when they're not being used during the winter?
No, I don't. No, they take them. They
take them
typically
up.
they take them.
Because I know Purington's
Sometimes they're left
kind of
behind.
grown roots
So
there.
we cease services, so we're not paying. So it's up to them if they haul them away.
Okay.
So, which you would hope in the summer they're not gonna, unless they're in high demand somewhere
Well,
else,
I just
right?
saw
So-
Purington being emptied. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. So
Yeah, so then we'll be done. So yeah, the end of. We carried, yeah, so they should be like the end of October, so they carried it over a week or so. They might not have gotten to it. in
Janine, do you
October.
make them, are they lockable now?
I know for a
After
fact
the incident
Bolton's
we had with
locking.
somebody's trash.
Bolton is locking, and Inison, Purington's locking, Inison's locked too? Yep, so yes. And I don't think Chase Park is locked because the gate's locked, so.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I know after the incident, it would make sense to lock it.
Yeah, that was the first thing the director did. Yep, absolutely. And they had been locked in the past, so
Yes.
I believe the dumpster driver already had the keys. She used the same lock, so.
Okay.
But I mean, they're still accessible by people for proper amount of trash you should have if you're watching a sporting event.
Right.
Not household trash. So, okay. Any more questions? Dumpsters. And we are, the director's gonna definitely look out for quotes for better prices. She's gonna quote shop as well, but right now we're with Naughton and Sons, so those are the prices we have to go on. And lastly, we're asking for $500 additional to increase our park repair line. Bolton Park has sustained a bit of damage. I met with one of the playground company reps, and so one of the local ones, and we couldn't possibly address everything that needs repair. So obviously, we're addressing the big important issues, which we've already managed to work on one of the windows on the actual playground area. They're plastic bubble windows. It almost was like a foot had gone right through it. The plastic was all still there, but it was loose on 3 sides of it. So that one's been replaced. We have another one. It's almost as bad. And they get dry, they get brittle. I mean, some of them are original, 20-plus years old, and the plastic breaks down. So we've managed to get a nice estimate from a local company in Londonderry that will do the pieces of flat plastic, thicker now, 3/8 instead of what they're now at this point. I don't even know if they're 1/4 of an inch thick. So we can get 4 of them for pretty much the price of one of the bubble windows, but that's a good $450, but it's local, no shipping. On top of that, we have the slide. So it's a 20-foot high tube slide that stands alone in the middle of the playground, and the exit tube of it is cracked where the kids would exit, and that's $622 plus shipping. So that's from Burke, because that's not something I could see replicating from somewhere else for a better price. So some of that we can absolve, but that's a lot more than the typical stuff. Plus, also, we're looking at, the wood chips are all too low. You can see the concrete that supports like 90% of the equipment out there. So Bolton's just kind of been falling behind. So we're hoping to have a little extra to focus on that park. Because, I mean, obviously, there's other fencing that needs replaced. You know, there's other things at other parks for general small stuff, but Bolton's going to be a big chunk next year to get it safe. We've already done the sunshades there. One was an anonymous gift, and one we were able to budget, because there was nothing for sunshades at all on the awnings, because the stands are already currently there, but it was to add the canvas back, brand new on top. And we fixed the fencing at the skate park. It was completely falling down on one end where the kids had been climbing over it, so we had that whole end repaired, and we made a doorway. So they're not climbing over it anymore. They can pass through it properly. So there's now 2 pedestrian entrances, one on either end, and not large enough for anything else but pedestrians, because there's a gate for vehicles when need be. So we've been definitely doing as much maintenance as we can, but there's bigger ones creeping up on us. So that's the explanation for our total of $11,002 increase ask.
Well, I think the increase in maintenance is really a cheaper in the long run than somebody getting hurt and
Right.
filing a claim with us.
Liability,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, it's safety. It's a must.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
that $20,000 thought,
Right.
you know, pay me now or pay me later.
Right, right.
Are they serving food at all of the parks or just the,
WAC, on their own independent with their situation, they do run the concessions, but that's, other than us saying, yes, you can use the building, that's not anything we're involved in, but they
And
do.
football does theirs.
Right, football does their own, and WAC does Purington and Inison.
and you don't have anything at Horace Lake?
So, no, there's no food there. We're open to people offering to come in and run something. We've had volunteers, like the robotics team, set up a table to kind of raise money to have, not food, but packaged stuff. They didn't do so well. I think the lake's just kind of been one of those people bring their lunches. They're allowed to have a small grill and stuff. So I don't think it's really a place people look for concessions. They're going for the day, so they bring their own food. But definitely at the games and the practices, their concessions are imperative. Very used, very popular.
So I have 2 questions.
Yes.
I think that the outdoor services and the rubbish removal, I think, is proper to put into said proposed budget. I do question the raises and the damageable at the park. And the reason I do is, another department in the past has come to do a $1 raise across the board, and it went in front of the voters as a warrant article. So.
That's what we did last year.
To stay consistent, I think that might want to be considered again.
Ours last year did that, and it passed, because we did ask for, I don't remember if it was, yeah, last year.
It seemed.
So that's fine.
It seems trivial, but
No.
to be consistent, I think
Yeah.
that's where it should be as a warrant
I
article.
like the voters to have a say, absolutely. And most of them like the lake, so it's
Yes.
usually not a problem.
And I'll say it's a menial number, it's probably gonna go through.
Yeah,
But, again, for consistency, now you've done it a year.
Yep.
DPW's done it in the past. I think that's the proper channel.
Absolutely.
To continue. The damage to Bolton Park, is that more of a one-time expense to maintain that? Or is it something that, moving forward in years to come, is this gonna be something that we face in other aspects, where aging equipment / buildings could utilize that additional 500 to have in that line in years to come?
absolutely.
Bolton will be the spearhead, but in
Yeah.
years to come, we'll have other issues.
One of our
to
newest
address.
members has taken upon herself, she wants to do a physical inventory at each location of every single building and the repair or disrepair of what we really need to focus on versus when someone announces an immediate need and we address it, kind of looking ahead. so.
Proactive rather than reactive.
We're trying, definitely, with,
All right.
so absolutely. This is just, the biggest need is definitely Bolton right now.
That was my only concern, is the way it was just presented to us, it sounded like a one-time purchase.
Right, no.
Right.
And I don't know if damage is the right word. I wonder if it's not.
I would say it's maintenance,
It's,
more
it's,
than
a-
anything.
it's more.
Yeah.
The stuff has gone brittle.
It's
because of
wear and
UV.
tear,
Wear and
right,
tear.
Wear and
right, it
tear.
is.
Maintenance.
Wear and tear.
Right, so I think that's a better terminology
Yep.
for it, which I don't disagree with. I think it is, 100%. I mean, the stuff has been down there, UV killed it, it's very obvious.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
I'm 100% behind that, that's a maintenance, item. But that's all I have. Anybody else have anything on the board?
No.
Okay. Pretty easy.
That was, and as far as CIP goes, we've not requested anything this year. The Emma Sawyer Fund has been absolutely wonderful with helping us do a resurfacing on the tennis courts right now. So that's gonna give us a good 3, maybe 5 years of good play surface, and then we're gonna work back on putting on the CIP, if not, probably not next year, but the year after. Because the tennis court really, this is the last time we're gonna be able to resurface it like this, to be able to do a patch.
Okay.
So, then we're gonna look into the whole, proposing to get it all completely redone, which we've had estimates in the past.
Do you
for.
know, is it gonna be springtime?
Yes, so, Vermont Recreational, Denise has been in touch with them, and they are going to put us, they can't promise first, because if southern areas of the state have better weather before we do, they're gonna fit that need. But we are in the very beginning promised spring, yes, because they did promise this early fall, and it didn't happen.
We've been
the weather.
promised a lot.
So with that, do we need, as a board, to earmark anything?
No, because, Emma Sawyer has earmarked it, and I believe.
Okay.
And then where Pickleball Club was doing a small donation on top of that for line
Right, so
changing.
it would be my understanding that once the bill is here, we would take the money from Emma Sawyer, or bill them.
Pay the bill,
We'll pay the bill and ask Emma Sawyer to reimburse.
I just didn't know if we had to earmark anything ourselves.
I don't believe so.
Okay,
Sounds good.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Oh, are you guys staying to talk about the landscape bidding?
Yes, I think so.
Yep.
That's coming up.
After we do the tax rate.
Yeah.
I might stay for that.
Quick couple-minute recess?
Oh, I suppose. You wanna go to the bathroom or something?
I don't need help. I can do this on my own.
Okay, go.
Wow.
There's no place else to go once you leave the door, we kind of guessed.
We could get a porta potty in here.
porta potty at the library for the tennis court. You saw the look on my face?
I did. Oh, did you? Yeah, Clay, he doesn't like the whole indoor plumbing thing, he likes fresh air.
Yeah, I figured it was the tennis court, the way you guys said
Sorry, when I said
library.
it at the library, I should have said at the tennis court. Just kind of the whole
kind of rolled off the tongue.
Yeah.
The whole area and then I'm
I
like,
pictured the building, not the fence, you know, kinda.
we're also trying to find a new venue for the porta potties, so.
We've been on, yeah, if anybody has an in with Henniker Septic, you throw us a bone, we've been trying to get on their good list for,
Have you called them?
oh, yes, we're supposedly on their wait list, this is the second year. Cause their prices are a lot more reasonable, and they're a lot more reliable and reputable. We've had a lot
For
of trouble with
porta
American
potties?
Guardian, oh yeah, not showing up,
Same person.
not doing toilet paper, American Guardian.
I think it's the same person.
Henniker Septic and American Guardian say, no, they are not.
No, they're not.
No, they aren't.
Okay.
Henniker Septic is a small family-owned business, I've been in their office.
I don't believe that they are.
I don't think they are.
Okay.
But the
What do you know that I
police
don't know?
chief is going out to bid right now for,
Trash removal.
yeah, the trash dumpsters. So you might wanna talk to him, see what kind of rates he's getting.
The police are?
Yes.
Oh.
Because they
On
use
top
knowing
of
right now, and they got that increased letter, and he went, so now he's looking for a new company.
Right?
I think he's gonna end up getting a larger dumpster, but less.
We thought about that too, because it's like $5 difference though. If you get twice as big a dumpster and they empty it,
Every other month?
Right, once a month versus twice a month, it's like a $5 difference. So, a month, $5 a month, which adds up when you have 4 dumpsters and you have 7 months, I guess. So you said the police?
Yeah, yeah.
How fashion mine.
You know, some of the state parks now are doing carry in, carry out.
I was looking at one.
So you wouldn't have to have a dumpster at all if you went to that.
We're definitely doing it at
Maybe
some of
I
the
shouldn't
parks.
look at that as an
We did
example.
the gazebo,
Yeah, let's not
but
talk about that one.
with the concessions, we're served, the food's being served, you kinda
And also the refuse from buying the
spray cans and.
the boxes
So for the next 2 items, there was a request from Vice Chair Meany, he's not in the state, if he could participate for the next 2 items via telephone call. If you don't have a problem, I'll call
I don't
him,
have a problem with it.
Nope.
and I'll put him on speaker.
Or not.
He's gone to sleep.
He's at the bar.
He's sleeping.
Hey, this is Jack. Your call is very important.
Hi, Jack, how are you?
How are you?
Good, I have you on speakerphone. I'm gonna kind of put the phone in the middle of the table and hopefully you can hear everybody. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, I got it. Over here. I'm driving.
Oh,
Safety third.
How far away are you from the building?
all right, so Jack, we're gonna let Beth start out, Jack. Did you review everything?
I don't have the. I don't
Yeah,
have that.
she's got it. Didn't she give you a pass?
No, it's not in there. I've gone through it like 3 times. It's on the backside of that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's right there.
Where is it?
On the backside of that.
Backside.
Of what?
She didn't waste paper.
Saving paper.
Right there in your left hand.
Okay,
Well, we can start on the side that Ricky likes. It's the 2021 proposed
Yeah.
warrant appropriations. That's just a quick rundown of the warrant articles that we saw back in March. Which ones passed, which ones failed, what was approved, less the revenues, and then what we have to raise by taxation. The last column is the tax impact based on what the DRA gave us as a tax rate, which is $17.67 per thousand. So the town's portion based on the DRA's tax rate, it's $3.51. Okay, so now if you flip it over.
Ta-da.
So we have done very well with our fund balance. So currently, right now, our fund balance is $2,234,855. So with that much balance left, if we have a $30,000 overlay, which is abatements, and we're gonna have a lot of them coming up because we had a reval year, so we're expecting on a lot of abatements. Hopefully not approved, but the applications will be coming in as soon as the tax bills go out. So the 2020 tax rate is the first column, so the town portion was $4.79. Based on our tax rate from the DRA, it's going to be reduced to $3.51, which is a 27% decrease. The school's rate last year was $15.88. This year it's $11.82, a 26% decrease. The school state was $2.12 last year. This year it's $1.46, which is a 31% decrease. And the county's portion was $1.16. This year it's 88 cents per thousand, so it's a 24% decrease. So overall, our tax rate was decreased by 26.2%. With that said, we do have a large fund balance, but please note that we do not want to go below 5%. It's better to be between 5 and 10%, because we do have to have enough money to cover all our operating expenses. And the total, that's the school included, so it's $22 million that we have to make sure that we can cover at any time. So we need to have some retainage. So with that said, if we use $250,000 of our fund balance, it brings the tax rate down to $17.47. If we use $500,000 of our fund balance, it brings the tax rate down to $17.28, and so on. $650,000 of fund balance used, $17.16. If we use $750,000 of our fund balance, the tax rate would be $17.08. And if we use $850,000 of our fund balance, our tax rate would be $17 even.
Any chance you have a 5% even number?
I do, it's $937,000.
Perfect.
Jack, have you seen any of this or no?
I know I haven't seen it in writing, but I just sort of giving it out.
Okay.
I think it was said earlier, which I think is the right, I mean, I'll just go out in the deep end here. Beth and I have talked a little bit about it, and there is $500,000 that you're gonna return for the unused wages, and it's not for, you know, yes, we've made it this far, but not without reaching burnout to some people.
Yes.
I think $500,000 is fair. Again, that's being returned. I think that's the right thing to do, obviously. I wouldn't go less than that. Again, we've, as you look in the bottom part of the portion, we had some scary years in 2019 when we decided to duck under.
Yes.
We made it, and we can say that now, but we were really,
It was tight.
we were wondering where we were gonna get nickels.
Yeah.
And they give you that parameter for a reason. I guess that's where, I'll just say that I think it's the right thing to do, but it all lies within you guys. I think at a minimum you would do is $500,000. Which leaves 6.71 in the fund balance.
Right.
Percent.
That sounds like a good number. I mean, we kind of close before. And giving back, you know, 500,000 is, I think, a good, fair amount, whereas we kind of close, like I said before, we were worried about we're going to have to start borrowing money. And right now, we can breathe easy with that. We still got plenty on after that.
And we have to keep in mind, the fund balance isn't cash on hand, it's what's owed us in unpaid taxes.
Yeah.
So it's not sitting there, it's,
No, it's what we're owed in taxes, so.
which, I didn't look today. Do you remember what we were out?
About 900?
I think we're out, I think the uncollected is about 900,000 or a little bit more than $900,000.
And like we also said, the abatements are gonna start pouring in too.
Right,
So,
because of the new assessments.
the new assessment,
Right.
so.
I just think that's where Beth and I talked today, and I think that's where we start. I don't think we go down the other to your left.
No.
I mean, I think that's a starting point.
No.
I'm liking column E personally.
So Jack, you have to tell him what.
Yeah,
column
so
it is.
column E, Jack, is 5.74% retainage, with $750 used from the fund balance.
To me, that's cutting it close again. We're running into problems with increase in supplies, you know, as far as material that we have to buy anything. I'm looking at in case we have that, we gotta have that buffer, I think going back, to like, it was probably what, column C or D for a $500,000 return and having that extra in that, reserve, I think is the smart way to play it right now, the way the economy's going. I think if we put too much back, our costs, our cost will override what we got left.
So column C is the $500,000 fund balance with 6.71. Column D is 6.13 with 650 used.
I'd say the 500, column C, the way I feel. I discussed it earlier, like I said, I haven't seen the numbers, but she went over it with me, and I think, looking at the way the economy's going, I think, it's not gonna get any better, it's gonna probably get worse, and if we're still facing winter, I think it's probably the smartest move right now, my feeling.
What's the rest of the board think? I know Selectman Van's at column E. I'm not there.
You're not where?
I'm not at column E
Okay.
myself.
I'm torn between C and D.
That's
I
where
think
I'm
we
at.
could go to D, I really do, but.
I'm torn between C and D.
But how fast could you calculate 600,000?
Oh, one second.
That would kind of
Split the difference.
split the difference between C and D.
Yep. And we'll put it like a, probably like a 6.5% retainage. Roughly, 6.4,
Yeah.
6.5,
I would guess.
yeah.
So we get C.5?
Correct. Jack, we're figuring out what it would be with a 600,000 fund balance, as far as
I don't think
retainage.
50,000
It
is
would be
gonna-
Retainage for E, I mean,
D.
D rather.
D is 6.13 with 650,000,
Yeah, okay.
and C is
Yeah,
five.
I would compromise to either like 575 or 600.
Right, and she's working numbers for 600.
Okay, so 600,000 is a 6.32% retainage,
3.2.
6.32?
I don't think he do that.
6.32%, Jack, 600,000.
And your tax rate, would be $17.20.
17 what?
20.
Yeah, and and that would put, that would put the tax rate at $17.20 a thousand.
Which still has gone down compared to,
Well, that's with the reevaluation.
That's not gone down.
Yeah,
yeah, still.
so,
That's not a bad number.
I don't think 4 cents is gonna make us or break us, so do you really? From 7.16 to 17.20?
oh,
I
No.
don't think that's gonna
No.
make any big difference.
no.
It's 4 cents difference.
All right, for the process, I'll move that we retain 6.32% of the undesignated fund balance to use $600,000 for the reduction of taxes to set the rate at $17.20. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Roll call vote. Chairman Hippel, yes. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burdick?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
No. I'd rather see it lower.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so it passes at 6.32%.
All right. Is he gonna stay on for the award?
Are you gonna stay on for the lawn care and stuff, Jack?
Yeah, I can for a little bit.
Okay.
Don't get caught doing that.
How long I'll hold.
You guys all get that too, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so you want to start right on the top, everyone, which is the IT? Or do we want to go
I thought
down?
we were just doing longer. Okay.
Well, it
Let's do
says,
lawn care first.
okay, let's do lawn care first.
Make your mind up.
Yeah, I know. Blame the one on the
Who's
end.
grumbling?
Who always grumbles?
Okay.
All right. So there's 3 different for the lawn care. There's fire department, cemeteries, and then municipal buildings. and properties. Right, so everything's organized here.
Now,
That's the one that does
you
cemetery
can ask
now.
him, I think he read those, because Beth sent them to me.
All right, Jack, did you see these yet?
Yes, I read those.
I was gonna say, I think he did get them.
Okay. All right, we'll start with the fire department. We've had two RFPs submitted. One by Stockhouse Enterprises for a grand total of $26,175, and Landscape Exclusive LLC for a total of $22,700. And again, that's just for the fire department lawn care, which includes the cisterns and
Ponds.
and the fire ponds, etc. So,
Stockhouse is the one that currently has a contract?
that's correct.
And Landscape Exclusive is the one that has a cemetery contract?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a constant versus a variable. If you
Yes.
look at,
Yep.
each year, one creeps up, the
Yep.
other three stay the same.
Stay the
Correct.
same.
Yes, so Stockhouse is 87.25 for the 3 years. These are 3-year contracts, and Landscape Exclusive starts at 74.50 to 75.50 to 7,700 through the 3 years. So, it was in the chief's budget. What is the current?
7,225?
7,225?
So it went up 1,500.
We'll need it for gas.
Yeah, in labor.
Yeah, 72.25, yeah.
Okay.
72.25.
So 72.25.
I mean, Stockhouse has done a great job for us.
Stockhouse has really gone above and beyond on a lot of occasions that we've asked. And that's not to say that Landscape Exclusive would not either.
Right.
I think we've seen Landscape Exclusive do a very good job on the cemeteries.
Yeah.
Stepped up above and beyond there too. So, I think we've had our, per se, feet wet with both of them. We know what we're getting with both of them, so.
Somebody make a choice.
Huh?
Somebody make a choice.
Yeah, somebody needs to make a choice though, absolutely. So,
My opinion on it, Ricky, is that, Stockhouse has got more people to throw at it, whereas landscaping,
exclusive.
is exclusives is, just started basically a one-man band and, a buddy of his. I mean, I just don't want to see us get caught short, and fall behind, whereas Stockhouse is gonna be more people, and add it a little bit, so I think, my opinion is to stick with Stockhouse.
You want to form that as a motion?
Can we discuss first real quick?
Make a motion that we, want the fire department and the cisterns to, Stockhouse land.
Discussion.
Need a second first.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Moving second, discussion.
I was thinking, looking at this from a grander scheme with all three, split it in half, cemetery for, obviously then we have to look at all three at once. Cemetery for the sole bidder there, fire department for the same one, and then Stockhouse for the third one. It's just splitting it in half.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Stockhouse.
But it's three different bids.
Yeah. Stockhouse has a lot more equipment. He's got more.
That's why I'm saying Stockhouse for this one, but then landscape for these. Just with thought, splitting it in half. Just a discussion.
He's driving.
Did you hear that, Jack?
Yeah, you're gonna split everything and pull a King Solomon and split it down the middle. I don't know if that's, you didn't make the RFPs that way, so I don't know what that's gonna set us up for.
All right. All right, well, any further discussion at this point? it's been moved and seconded. We should probably pull a vote, I would think, and then we'll go from there. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
In favor
Aye.
of Stockhouse.
Of the motion to Stockhouse. Roll call vote. Chairman Hippler, yes. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burdick?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to the cemetery lawn care. Of the RFPs submitted, we only had one reply, landscape exclusive, for 2022 of $42,000, 2023 of $44,000, 2024 $45,000, for a grand total of $131,000. Current numbers on that are,
39, I thought.
39,
okay,
I think they're 39.
what he did this year for.
cemetery.
Cemetery.
Yes. 39.
Okay,
I went by the cemeteries over, off of East Road over the weekend and was, other than the fact that we just had a massive windstorm, you
Right.
could tell that
The-
it's been
Taken
well
care of.
taken care of.
Yeah, they were over there, in fact, what day was it? Last Thursday, I think he was over there blowing leaves.
they were on Quaker Street blowing.
Yeah, he was
this-
in
this
there
week.
Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've done nothing but a great job as far as
Yep.
I've seen.
I'll move to award the bid to landscape exclusive for the numbers listed previously. Is there a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor, roll call vote. Chairman Hippel, yes. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burdick?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
Yes.
Thank you. And we'll go to the municipal properties. Two bids received. Stockhouse Enterprises, same all 3 years of $67,350 for a contract total of $202,050. And landscape exclusive with 2022 at $59,000, 2023 at $60,000, and '24 at $60,000 for a total of $179,000. And the current on that is,
59,260.
all right. What is the board's feelings here?
$23,000 difference.
Yes, substantial difference.
Okay, so that argument makes no sense to me based on our first vote. Because your first vote was based on the fact that that particular gentleman didn't have enough equipment, enough manpower. Now you're considering him for an even bigger job, even though it's less money. That argument makes no
And
sense.
you're adding him to 43 cemeteries.
No,
Right.
no way. It's too much.
So, I mean,
Can I just, so, I reviewed the bids, just so, I don't have a stake in the game, I do, because it's the town, but the breakdown includes bark mulch, the step 4 program, which is $10,000 in itself. There's trimming, there's pruning, there's edging, there's crabgrass. Crabgrass. Was gonna say something different, start with grab. Wow, that was close.
That was good.
But I just don't know. I just think bark mulch could be expensive. You know, the fertilizer's gonna be expensive.
All of
I'm
it's
not
going up.
sure. Did this include it? I have to question with the number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it include all those other things to take care of the lawns to the satisfaction and what they look like today?
Right.
Now, you're talking our ball fields, you're talking our front center here, you're talking a lot of things. I think, you know, the landscape, I mean, this guy has done a great job, don't get me wrong. I just think we've been down this road and gave somebody all of them and ended up
With nothing getting done.
asking Peter to help us out. And he's got us to where we are,
All right.
but his bid was way, I mean, I knew, it says it in there. He broke his down a little bit further when he typed it.
Yeah.
So you knew he didn't miss anything.
Right.
That's just,
Maybe a little more attention to detail.
I mean, I just think you all know everything's going up. And I just, the 4-step program, the bark mulch and loan,
Material is gonna be,
materials, we do bark mulch here, the gazebo, the safety complex, it just,
Stone
you know,
building.
there's a lot of bark mulch, there's a lot of 4-step program that,
yeah.
I mean, we do, the athletic fields, they aerate, they do everything. I'm just saying, I don't know the landscape guy, he'll probably do a good job, but what did he miss something, and then he walks away? And then, where are we?
We crawl back again, right, second time.
In time? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just my,
Yeah.
I know it's a big sticker shock to you guys, but
It is.
what if something was missing? You don't know it until we start and then walk away.
Right. Oh, absolutely. You're
And,
right.
and I think it's too late at that point to call somebody back.
Right.
Because it's not like you got 10 bids here.
No, no, we
You
got
got
two.
2.
Yep. So, board's thoughts?
Does he have any?
Jack?
While he's driving?
Again, I think, to coin a phrase, you're better off with the devil you know than the devil you don't. I think Stockhouse got all the ducks in a row, as far as figuring like that goes. And the whole thing is that, you know, if we're gonna get caught short again, that he can't come across with it, and he doesn't have, you know, he's relatively new, and I'm not knocking him, he's done a great job, but I think the manpower issue is the big thing, and I don't wanna fall short on any of it. Sometimes the low bid isn't always the best bid,
Right.
so, I think we're better off to stick with, Peter. He's done a lot, invested a lot in this as far as getting it done.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion that we, issue the contract to, Stockhouse Landscape.
For the total of $202,050 for the term of 3 years.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Roll call vote. Chairman Hippler, yes. Vice Chairman Meany?
Yes.
Selectman Burdick?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
Yes.
Okay. Jack, did you want to stay on for the rest of the
Well,
stuff?
Make him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, now you've done one. You're committed to all now.
The cleaning service is one person.
I'm trying to get a bite to eat in between, so.
Well, that's all
there we
right.
go.
Just put us down later.
Let's just do the IT and
Let's-
get
yeah.
them off.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
the IT.
Yeah, let's just do the IT, because that's, everything else is a one bid deal, so. All right, so to the IT, who is our current?
Umbro.
Umbro, okay,
Night, thank you.
thank you. So, we did the IT services for the town. We have
It's nice to
six.
get some interest.
Yeah, we have 6 bids on here. Starting with Maestro Technologies for a contract total of $146,880. Systems Engineering out of Manchester for $217,764. Souhegan Communications for $172,860. Mirador IT out of Concord for $140,196. Armon Networks in Hampstead for $145,800. And our current vendor, Umbro Technologies out of Merrimack for $95,400. You know what my question is, Beth?
Why the huge numbers?
Way, 16,499.
Higher?
No, that's what we annually budget right now.
Ooh,
Yeah.
For Umbro.
We currently,
we only budget 16,000 for this?
16,000?
Why such a gap?
Half.
Well, no, 16 to 31.
It's like half.
Double.
It's doubled. Wow.
Is it 16 even? What'd you say, Beth? 16?
16,499.
Are we happy with their service?
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the other ones are a lot more. If you're happy
Is
with their
it an apples
service.
to apples?
They all get the same bid.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, I went through each one, and the only differences.
Yeah.
So I went through each one with a fine tooth comb, and the only difference would be the Armon, the second to last one. They have a $4,050 initial setup fee. The other ones did not, they all waived the initial setup fee. Any other differences? The phone and email support, Umbral, Maestro, and Souhegan all had unlimited support. Systems engineering was very strict, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8 PM. Armon again, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5:30. Now remember, we work 24 hours here in the town.
Just saying.
So that's, yeah. The backup storage, Mirador, no, Armon again, they'll evaluate based on our needs. Yeah, so other than that,
And I
They're all
think
very
a lot
similar.
of them, I kind of let Beth, because some of them came and looked at what we had. They actually made a site visit, and I let Beth take it, and then those that didn't, I let her answer because she had the most familiarity with what was downstairs and everything else. So it's apples to apples, it's just, wow, where you are.
Wow,
It looks like a
when
no-brainer.
it's
yeah,
businesses like this, when they have a lot of overhead,
Yeah.
they have to support it. So,
I can't imagine there'd be a lot of discussion. I'll make a motion, we accept Umbral Technologies' bid of $95,400 spread over 3 years for the IT services bid.
Second.
moved and seconded, all in favor, roll call vote. Chairman Hippler, yes. Vice Chairman Meany?
I didn't get which one on the water too, I didn't quite catch it.
Umbral Technologies for the contract amount of $95,400, $31,800 a year.
Yep, oh, yes.
Selectman Burdick?
Yes.
Selectman Osborne?
Yes.
Selectman Van?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right, he can go get his
Jack
check.
can go eat.
All right, Jack, go eat. Get me something good.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Have a good night, ma'am.
See you later.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, bye.
Can you handle that? It's an iPhone.
I know, my hands are a little hot right now, burning. Yeah, touching that Apple product. Ugh.
Scary.
I knew he was gonna say that.
You drop that, boy, you're gonna have to work a lot of overtime.
I'll drop it over the front of the table. I do not like Apple. No, ma'am.
Okay.
Anyways,
Moving on.
moving right along, now that I've got that expressed. We'll go to the town office building, town hall cleaning, and Department of Public Works, cleaning RFPs.
Make a motion, we accept a cleaner solution for DPW, town hall cleaning, and town offices for the prices as listed.
Which would be, for the Department of Public Works, $7,500, for the term of 3 1/3 year. The town hall for $44.70 for 3 1/3.
No, it's 3 years.
The year, 23 and
3-year
24 full
contract.
years.
Okay. For 3 years, just listed a little differently. And the town offices for $22,905.
For 3 years.
Did we put this out to bid?
We did, and we sent it to people we knew that cleaned,
Really?
and nobody
Nobody
replied.
replied?
There's
And,
been-
and I know it was mentioned earlier,
I was gonna bring that up. I
yeah.
was waiting for their second for
sorry.
discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, there is discussion now.
Yeah,
So we did have a member of the public inquire about hiring somebody part-time to do this. Between the three amounts, I think there's enough money there to do so. You're talking considerable amount of money between the three of them.
35,000.
So that's not just,
But that's 3 years.
That's 3
You
years.
gotta take that divided by 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay, but then you also have to add in cleaning products.
Correct. Which would be more overhead.
Yep.
Right. No, I understand that.
And then finding a body.
Right. This is the opportunity
the
for
biggest
discussion.
Yep.
Right. And I think that right there alone is gonna be the sticking point. It's finding somebody that wants to work. In general, we'll just
Yeah.
put a blanket in general.
Not just for this,
But for, I mean, if this is a weekly thing, for under $200 a week. And then taxes.
and then how many days are we requesting people to clean the DPW and the town office?
Right.
What do they come in, just once a week?
That's once a week.
No, it's every other.
It's every other?
Every other
Alright.
week?
Every other day?
Oh, twice a week.
Okay. So, I mean, it's still
And
still
then the
shy of
town hall
$300.
is as needed, or?
Well, right now, it's not being done.
Closed,
Yep.
But they also went in weekly.
Weekly, I think, yeah.
Okay.
So if the town hall isn't open, then that year will
No.
go away.
No,
Still needs,
still needs to be.
Still needs cleaning.
Yeah, the spiders and the dust mites still run around, trust me. It's an old building. So I just,
I don't
while
think
I
we're
don't
gonna,
disagree,
I don't think we're gonna find a part-timer.
while I don't disagree with the thought,
Correct.
I don't,
I don't either. But
I don't know if we're there right now with what we got.
I can't even find bodies at my work to roll out
Oh.
of bed for $30 an hour.
I can't either.
Yeah.
So, I think it's, I think we're gonna have to cross a couple bridges before we get to that point. The other thing too is, the shoveling. We have to find somebody that's willing.
We buy a power shovel or something? What about a power shovel?
How about get a snowblower?
No, just one of those things that
Just,
push it down there and it
just
blows
put
it
radiant
out.
heat underneath the stairs. Be done with it.
But the only time with one of those power shovels,
Hmm.
it's only good for about 4 inches of snow.
And it's only good if it's
You
light
walk
and
up
fluffy.
in a
If
foot
it's
of
wet,
snow,
it's
you
not
ain't
worth
gonna-
any. Yeah.
No, I had a 4-foot snowdrift that says differently last year.
Well, I think we have to
Well,
talk
take
about
it.
that after.
Right.
Oh.
All right, there's a motion on the table.
Yeah.
We were just discussing that. Again, I like the thought process. I just don't know if we're there yet. As one member of the board. So, any other discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
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 On all of them?
All
Yeah.
of them. Brings us to the manifest.
Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just want Ricky's signature on the tax rate.
Oh, that's right, so we can get that started.
I just need something just anywhere.
Anywhere?
Yeah. you give
Upside
me-
down, can I write it?
Upside down.
We'll sign his stage name.
Oh my God, stage. Or with grab, crab.
Yeah. That's right, that's what you're gonna say.
Exactly, I was like, ooh, slow down on that one.
Okay. So, we good now? We can go to the
Do we have
manifest?
the manifest done? Signed
Okay.
off? Because Beth can take the box if she's all set.
Well,
If she
that's-
can juggle the box.
That's all set, I believe. I do have to check one thing. All present accounted for. All present accounted for. Oop, just about pushed myself off the table. All right, manifests. Order the treasurer to sign payroll accounts payables checks dated November 18th, 2021, including the following manifests. Payroll manifest $66,892.08 for weekly payroll. Accounts payable $59,115.77. John Stark for $250, Ware School District $300,000 for a total of $676,007.85. Following manifest previously ordered to be signed at November 1st, 2021 meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Payroll manifest is $60,745.51. Checks dated 11/10. Accounts payable manifest $82,230.56 for checks dated 11/10. And supplemental accounts payable manifest is $299,587.82 for the Barden property purchase. As there's no selectmen's meeting scheduled for November 22nd and the 29th, further order treasurer to sign payroll checks dated November 24th and December 2nd, estimated to be about $150,000. Furthermore, order treasurer to sign up to the amount of $180,000 for accounts payables that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen, inclusion by the manifest memo at next scheduled meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Copy. Brings us to the minutes. Whenever they might be.
Should be November 1st. And
Yes.
there is remember, there's a change here.
Change here, yeah.
Yes. So, but that's further down, correct?
Page 3.
All right, page 1, anything on 1?
No.
2? Page 3.
Yes, on the, number 4, after the 200,000, we would remove the word child. And then, after the words town, it would be per year. The rest stays the same according to this.
Board okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on 3? 4? 5? 6? And 7.
Motion, we accept the minutes of November 1st, 2021 as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Because you weren't here.
That'd be the one.
You were here for part of it, though,
Ah, I came in for a
just
moment.
like Jack.
Yep, just like Jack, part-timer. All right, moves us to the administrator's report.
All right, let's see. Guess I could start in a row here. Just gonna let you know, I'll go down to 6. CIP, we're gonna do the final presentation to finance on Wednesday night this week. Collins Cemetery, we haven't done much with. Cemetery trustees, we're still working on the transition. She did take care of burial for us. It happened just a little while ago, so
Okay.
we're working through that.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, 6:30, we have interviews.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's gonna be upstairs, because Cable's gonna meet here.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll meet upstairs. Budget presentations, our next go-around, you're gonna see all of the DPW ones,
Mm-hmm.
which is on 12/6. And then Beth and I will conclude with the rest of everything on 12/20. Okay, I haven't gotten any further. I was hoping the state would have decided on, the state bid list of who and what, but they haven't yet.
Okay.
So I don't have anything more. I do have a permit here. Every year you get this trapping request from a Glenn Dubois in Dunbarton. He traps at the
Woods.
Woods Family Forest. On the 11/3 meeting, the Conservation Commission authorized me to sign it on their behalf, but it also has to take the landowner, which is us. So that I left a spot, if somebody so moves, to have the chairman.
So move, Ricky.
Seconded.
Moving second, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Right, I'm gonna write it here. Sherry, you moved it? Who
Yeah.
seconded, John?
I did. Yep.
Right, as chair. In the mail, we get these every now and then, Eversource, we need to prune the trees in your neighborhood. So what we need to do is evidently, for Bolton Memorial Park, the roadway down through there, they want to prune the trees.
Yep. No, I guess I'll
So if you don't care, you can or I can, doesn't matter. You have to authorize me, though.
authorize the TA.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. You're welcome.
Thank you. Here,
Do they just do one area in town
Yeah,
each year?
every now and then you'll get these, because they'll go and knock on your door or whatever they're doing, so.
I'm still waiting to hit my road. I got that same letter like in March and,
Well, you're supposed to sign it and send it back.
oh, I thought it was only if you had questions.
No, it
You're gonna be waiting a
says,
while.
Apparently.
I guess you're waiting.
Yep.
So you
Till
tell
next year.
them
Wait
if,
till it
if you,
Although I know somebody that Eversource contacted them for a piece of land they own on Duck Pond. The guy said, yeah, no problem. Well, there might be a problem because we may not be there for 2 years. We don't have the manpower to do it.
Oh, yeah, that might be a problem.
That doesn't surprise me.
so one thing I'd like to just discuss briefly is, there was a lot of, I think things kind of got carried away a little bit with the Barden purchase, so I've been thinking about how we might be able to keep everybody more close in contact. So, as a rule, you all take part in a board as an ex officio. I'm just wondering if part of the agenda might be to add an ex officio update. So if you had a meeting, you could say Park and Rec is doing this, or you have the once a year, you guys already met, I think.
Twice. We've stepped up to 2.
John already did, so John already took care of his. The only thing I would ask, I know that Sherry isn't really an ex officio on conservation, but if Sherry would be willing to just let us know, because I think that's kind of where we kind of went this
The
way.
disconnect, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of, because we don't have an ex officio per se, and I think things went this way, then they went this way. But, and then Jack does planning board. I just think it might help all of us to have a better round thing, just so nothing gets lost. And you're all human, just like me. I try to write everything down. I try to keep everybody informed. Some things happen, but I think if
I
we
don't
can
think it's a
try
bad
to,
idea.
I think if we can try to stay out front of things, keep each other informed, we don't email each other, that constitutes a meeting.
Right.
But if at a meeting, you could say, conservation talked about open space plan, or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Planning board's got this gonna happen on 114, just so it's another level. And I think it's a little bit more, the word transparency gets tossed around quite a bit. I think it keeps us informed as well as,
No, I agree.
versus, anything on social media or something like that. I think we can stay in front of things.
Night,
would
Tom.
be-
Yep, night, Tom.
Right, Tom?
I think if we
Right.
could stay in front of things, it would just be something, so I'm gonna keep it on mind, just to see if you guys wanna do that, and we'll see how it goes. Because there may be a meeting that nobody has met, and we'll just move on.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I just thought I would do
I
that.
think that's not a bad idea, and probably put that, I would say,
Yeah, we could add it to the agenda.
maybe before or after the administrative report?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, and if
Probably
if
after.
there was no meetings, then
Yeah.
we
There's
had no
nothing to
meetings.
It's a quick, yeah. just
Move
move
on,
forward,
yeah.
The
Kinda
only,
like correspondence and other business.
Right.
yeah, the only thing is I may not be able to make every meeting.
And everybody can't.
Right,
And
exactly.
we understand
And
that.
that's
Like,
fine, just-
But you're at that meeting, so you could do an update if you're
and
there.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I can do that, and I said at planning board, I don't do Parks and Rec, I
No,
did CIP.
right.
I can do that, but
If I'm not
if there we
there, it's
can
fine.
double up
Yeah.
and try to cover and protect
Cover.
each other, I
Yeah.
think it heads things off, and we don't have to
Oh,
go down the
absolutely.
road
I
like we
agree.
did.
I agree, yep.
So Tuesday I'm not here, and then Wednesday I'm gonna go to the conference in Manchester, pardon my scratching. I just wanna drop down to, let's see, the town office ceiling and walls. We reached a point, you saw all my ceilings, Karen's ceilings, Beth's ceilings. So we come into a bunch of white specks, whatever, all over your stuff. We're probably inhaling it all day. So what we did is we tried to get contractors to come in, look at it, and give us a price. So Karen spent some time, we got Maskeel to come in. We got Birchdale Construction out of Bow to come in. He took notes, walked around with Karen, said he'd send in a quote, we never heard from him.
Okay.
J&L Construction out of Manchester. He made an appointment with Karen, but he never showed up.
Okay.
And then there's another one, Jim's On-Call Painting from Manchester. Bottom line, she reported him to the police.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Not gonna use him.
Nope.
So we reached out to 4, we got one price, and you probably know this isn't gonna be a cheap price, but, to prep, paint the ceilings and the walls of the following areas: administrator office, admin administrator's office, finance office, conservation room, small conference room, closet hallway, upstairs. Basically, it's all leaked from when we had the building.
We're
when we had
just
the roof.
talking, you're talking ceiling and walls?
Ceilings and just, you saw mine, it started to run down the wall.
Yeah.
It's all dried now, and now everything is, I'm not kidding you, the computer, your chairs, it's just, pieces are falling off.
Yeah, it needs to be down.
So what he would propose to do is to remove and replace the furniture as needed, if he needed to scrape or whatever. Repair, cover remaining items with plastic and drop cloths, cover door openings with plastic to contain the dust and debris. All damaged plaster, peeling paint will be repaired and sealed with an oil-based primer. Walls and ceilings will be properly prepped and will receive 2 coats of latex sealing/wall paint. Clean and wipe down each room as it's completed. The total's $14,600. That's all-inclusive.
But that's the whole second floor.
That's the whole second floor. It's to get rid of all of those, it's kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. People come in and they look, and they're like,
Yeah, should have been done.
you know?
Yeah.
I know Jan talked about it when Jan was here.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
And I think it speaks to a higher issue as you said, you guys are breathing it in.
Somebody could get sick.
Right. And anybody, our employee, member of the public, it doesn't matter. I think there's a elephant in this discussion that we're not talking about, and I think that's what it is. So,
If you're gonna go down that route, it would technically be an air quality issue, and that would qualify under ARPA money.
I would 100% agree with you on that.
I'd bring something up too, is that this building was built back in the 30s, and my guess is you may have lead paint, so you know.
It's possible.
Yes,
It's possible, but
protocol.
I don't
I
think
think
there's
it's
much
all
we can do
horsehair
about it.
plaster.
Yeah.
If you look at my walls,
Yeah, I think,
big hunks
That
of it
could-
coming off.
Yeah, but I'm saying the original paint may be, just so you know.
the L word.
So I guess, so you're thinking that we could do it, pay for it, and apply for ARPA money?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, Plan B,
yeah, I
if
think you
ARPA
should.
says no,
Yep.
you have $68,621 in your building money.
We'll use it, do it.
I like
think you
Plan
should
A,
screw
but
around.
Plan B is, if we've
get
done
done.
it and they said no,
Well,
Well, they're not gonna say no, that's the thing, they're not gonna say no until 2026. So who cares if it's in this year's budget or next year's budget or 2027? We'll deal with it at that point, it's $14,000.
and it really needs, I just want to get them scheduled.
Yeah,
And what it would do is it wouldn't be done while we were here.
you
Right.
do it weekends.
He would
right?
do it weekends and move the stuff,
Does
like,
somebody need to be here considering the finance office and all that stuff?
We lock
We're
everything
locked up?
Yeah, it's all locked.
we're locked. We're locked beyond locked.
I think it's,
What needs to be locked?
Yes.
I think it's well worth the investment, myself.
It needs to be done.
And the due diligence has been done. I'll move that we spend the 14,000, who is it, Timmy?
Yeah,
Okay,
Mascule?
Mascule thing.
I'll move that we appropriate the $14,600, be awarded to Mascio Painting for the second floor, roof and wall, repairs and painting, per the estimate provided, to come from,
Well, we can pay
Building.
for it.
Government
It's similar to
building.
what you're doing with, I guess we're gonna go with A. Well, we can absorb it in the bottom,
right.
Yep.
and then get it back, you know what I mean, but,
Well, no, we already have we already have the money in ARPA.
Right.
yes, you
Yeah, so
actually.
take,
No,
to come from the ARPA.
Yeah, expend it out of the ARPA and
Okay.
just update Beth's spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
okay, and then, thank you guys, and on the last one, I appreciate it. So then I'm gonna drop down to the East Square Fire Station,
Yeah.
the roof,
One in, one out.
one in, one out, so that one's done.
Did you call Eversource to take their cap off the line?
I did not yet. I do have to call Eversource as well because I have to disconnect our newly purchased property. There, and just, I'll add that, it's not on here, is, on the Barden property, we did close on Monday. It was recorded on Tuesday.
Okay.
And, I know there was a 90-day window to dispose of the building. I have spoken with Chief Azina. Asked him what it would involve to practice. I asked him for that piece, and I asked him for the Buzzell Hill piece. The Buzzell Hill piece is looking awful.
Oh, I
The
don't,
one
We've
there
had that a
on,
long time
like
ago.
right at River Road, that one?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
So what it requires, though, is I'll have to get somebody to take a piece of the material, make sure it's
Certify
not,
it.
right. So we're gonna move in that direction, but at the same time, Chief Azina went over there with, Barton, Steve?
Steve Barton?
Yeah, he went
Yep.
with him.
Yep.
And so they went over and they looked around and they want me to call Eversource and have the lines disconnected
off
from
the
the
house.
house, but taken off.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Taken
So
off.
I have to call them anyway. So is that the boot you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yes.
on the line.
I'm talking the
Talking
boot that's
about-
up on East Ware
Well,
right
yeah.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause they put a protective covering over the
Yep.
line so the guys can do
Line
it.
with it, yeah.
And they can just take that back off because
Right.
obviously the work's been completed.
There
I was
wouldn't
briefly
be a
walked
boot
around
on,
that firehouse and they did a good job cleaning up after themselves.
They
too.
did a great job when they
Yeah.
did the safety complex.
Yeah.
Those guys were in and out.
The only thing I found, it could have been them, could have been us, is
Lights.
the doors and the light. The man door was open and the lights were on. I stopped by, fixed it up.
Thank you for
Good
doing
to go.
that, but
Yeah.
it could have been, yeah.
It could have been anybody. I'm not blaming
Keeping the
anybody.
building warm with the furnace out.
It actually was warmer outside, I think you're right. I tried to find a thermostat and I couldn't find it.
So then on the Riverdale Road, the,
Turn.
so the turnaround, I got a phone call from a resident down there. was referred to the PD. They want a four-way stop, and it's not what we were doing.
No.
Yeah,
So we did, Benji and I proceeded further. We got the, Keach is the town engineer surveying. So they, I provided them with a tax map, I provided them with the property cards, I provided them with everything I could find. And they said that, for budgeting purposes, because they're gonna have to do the surveying, we're still gonna have to go, I offered to present the plan, if it's okay with you guys, to the planning board instead of having them come at night. Cause I kinda know what it talks about. But it would be $3,000, it'll probably be $3,000 or less, depends on his involvement. And then he said he'd have the work done within 1 month with notice to proceed.
And what is the end goal?
So
Of
what it
the
is,
$3,000 work?
so of the 3,000, if you remember when Benji came in.
Oh, I do.
The gentleman that lives at the corner has offered to give Benji the corner,
right.
which is going to have a couple of different effects. He already is a non-conforming lot, so he will be more non-conforming. So which would take a trip for him to the zoning board. But at the same time, it's gonna straighten that
Safety,
corner out
yeah.
for safety, Benji
Oh,
said.
yeah, big safety issue there.
And if he gives us back to the trees, it's quite a bit. So that was the whole thing, and before he passes away and changes his mind,
Right.
Benji had said we need to move, so we started this process.
A while ago.
Well, we just got an answer, so it would be up to 3,000, and he'd have it within 1 month to proceed. So if I gave him the okay to proceed Wednesday morning, it would be a month from them, which we're still talking by the end of the year, and it would be nice to get that done.
The land itself is being donated to the town?
Yes, he wants to
Yeah.
give it to
Over a
them.
certain dollar value, does it have to go before the voters, or can it just a public hearing?
No, just a public hearing.
Just-
Okay.
You can, if it's under $5,000, you can put it on your agenda and mention it. It's
Okay.
gonna be over 5,000, you have to have a public hearing to accept it.
But what is the value of what we're getting?
I don't know,
Oh,
I'd have to
that's-
ask somebody what the value of the corner is.
Right.
Yeah,
I could probably
Can't-
ask
it can't-
Avatar.
It can't be that much.
Jesus.
It's only
We're
probably
talking-
20 feet.
Yeah,
60,
so,
70 feet by 20?
I don't know.
yeah,
20 by.
if it's
yeah,
$5,000, I'd be surprised if.
Yeah.
All right, I mean,
I just wanna make sure we don't have to do a warrant article to accept it. or
where
anything
would
like
where would that money come from?
Yeah, that's my next question.
I'm gonna tell you bottom line, but,
Right, and overexpend the legal, right?
well,
Legal
Benji
or-
said short staffs, I mean, we've had short staffs.
Right. No, I know,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
know it's
can
coming
make it
from,
out of legal, for sure.
But I think
We
that's,
can make our own line in legal with a zero budget amount so that you can track it and it doesn't get added somewhere.
I think
Right.
that's
See,
probably
that's the
best thing to
biggest,
do.
everybody's concern was, it is you start tucking things into in a line, and it looks like you spent this much that year.
Right,
So if you pull it out and put either survey work or something under legal,
yeah.
which has
Right.
a zero budgeted amount,
Right.
you'll know
Where that,
that it was a project
I think that's probably best.
under legal.
yeah.
So moved.
Second,
that. Does it need a motion?
I think it does.
At
Yeah,
this-
I don't have,
At this
I don't,
point?
I don't have I don't have a line item.
She doesn't have a line,
Yeah,
and I
gonna
think,
take it
gotta
out.
add
and because it's intention, the
right,
intention behind it.
Okay.
Yep. Moving second, all in favor?
Yes.
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 Bless you. So that ends my conversation, and, no, we waited on I'm done with mine, I have a couple correspondence.
Okay.
I have a couple of
I have one question, one question, I guess. That is, if the tax map was wrong on,
Are we under correspondence now? Other business?
We had other business?
Okay, yep.
if the tax map was wrong on Mr. Drake's property, do we know, or should we review the tax maps in town so we know that?
So, all right,
I'm just asking a
Yeah.
question.
if you want me to respond, I've tried. So, Bob Todd did the original tax maps in 1970, okay? We've gone to digitization. When you digitize something that's been hand-drawn, things don't match.
Okay.
So what happened was, when we did the survey for NBAC, then the property has been surveyed and we can digitally put it onto that spot. Tax maps are never, ever, ever made to be gospel, because they were done in the 70s, we've made them into this digital thing. If you look at our zoning map, our zoning lines are a little bit off. We gotta fix those. We did not give permission to go on anybody's property but the town of Ware.
That's
Right.
correct.
Tried to explain that.
Right.
If we have a mapping issue, it's not, it's largely from the hand-drawn to the digital by a mere mistake. It's a human mistake to come in here and look at tax maps.
Right.
Yeah, and that's
There
fine.
was nothing given in our behalf that was wrong. The only thing that you gave them was to use the map that's owned by you. And, okay, so our tax map that he's used, and the gentleman that came before you has acknowledged this, he made a mistake using the tax map. Nothing
So
was.
the tax map in the end is not a legal document,
It's not.
but
You have to look at boundaries and surveys, and if someone had something surveyed, a good share of the time, we get an updated map. Which we're having on, Jewett and Mountain Road. We're having, I mean, they paid taxes on 39 acres when they all did it all, it was 37 point something. You know, it's always more or less until we get a surveyed document. So an error occurred, but how much digging do you want to do from the tax maps in the 70s? An acknowledgement has been made that it's not property use, and he was mistaken by using it. And at the end of the day, you gave permission for the town piece, and at the end of the day, if it requires crossing someone else's and it can't happen, it can't happen.
Right,
It's not, the trail won't happen.
right.
I understand the concern, and him and I've had a conversation.
so if we gave permission erroneously, then we need to take that back.
We
But I-
didn't
but I
know.
I
feel
don't
we
think
did.
you
I
did,
don't
you
feel
gave
we
it for
did.
the town piece, you
Gave
didn't,
Yeah, for the
permission
town
to town
piece.
Ware's
Yep.
property.
Okay?
Nothing to
can't-
do with
they
Mr.
can't-
Drake.
This gentleman is under the impression that
We gave permission to go across his property.
We
which
didn't.
Which we did not.
no.
Okay.
We said town aware property.
Town
We don't
aware.
we don't have any authority over his property.
Correct.
They can't move that trail onto the town aware property
If
more?
we don't have access, we've lost a third of the system, so.
That's awful.
But that's their right, and don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
that's his right.
Right.
But we never gave permission.
No, for,
Only thing we did was allow him to use that corner of our property.
Right.
And he has walked it with the society, and the society showed him a map that was different than the tax map. That's how it all came kind of about, is it does, the old road that we've talked about does cross his, as well as, society owns the Betty Simon's piece.
yeah,
So it goes along, and there is a corner that is his. But it wasn't until the gentleman from the Snowmobile Club walked with a society girl did he realize that he had a mistake. Now, the app out there, I don't buy the apps online because they, you know,
No.
it's on your little phone.
Yeah.
And if the app is wrong, it's just like Google Earth.
all right.
Go look at Google Earth, they're so far behind.
Yeah, they're wrong.
My house color's different, you know what I
Right.
mean? It's just one of these apps that it's not meant to be.
But again, when we're talking hard granite pins and markers, that's what stands.
Right,
Yeah,
and
not-
at the
not
end of
all
the
the
day,
technology.
at the end of the day, all you gave permission was for the town piece.
Right.
And if the town piece has to traverse, you know, his piece, or, I'm sorry, if the trail requires a cross on his piece and he wants to say, no, that's his right and the trail doesn't go anywhere, that's
And
all it was.
That's all it is, yeah.
You know, we've come a long ways from the old hand-drawn maps. But, again, the gentleman acknowledged, he even said to me, our trail administrator, that I was using the tax maps, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Until he walked with a girl from the society.
It sounds like-
It was an honest mistake.
Sounds like an honest mistake.
It really was nothing vicious, and we weren't giving away permission to the property.
That's correct.
No,
We would never give
so-
anybody else's
You know,
property.
Permission to property.
Right.
And I think it was, you know, has the boundary in line questioned? No. I just don't think we need to do any more research.
No, I-
Mistake was made, we didn't give anybody permission, and nothing's been done out there now that we've discovered the problems.
So who abuts his land? Is there
We
another?
do, the society does,
And there's not enough room there to put a 6-foot,
but it's his right, he doesn't want anybody.
no, to go around his, end of his,
He can't, we're lost without it.
and
We need him, but that's his right as a landowner.
And there's nobody behind him that would give you a right-of-way to go through it.
We've already tried that. Here's what it is.
Can't get there from here.
Nope.
Too bad.
All right.
Can we both go back to the Ware Public Library budget presentation for a moment? I had a question. He made a comment that confused me a little bit, and I don't have it with me, but the ARPA spreadsheet that was being, you have that?
I do.
The original request, he made mention that ARPA money was gonna be spent on blinds and window treatments or
Yes.
something like
Yes.
that.
But he requested.
He requested,
He
but,
requested
He
it.
said that he got it,
yeah, he said the town has already approved it, and
Yeah.
I,
and
From the help from the town, we're gonna get all this stuff.
yeah, that was,
Don't
that,
think so.
I'm a little suspicious about
nothing's been
that.
approved yet, other than what we discussed
You
this
haven't, you haven't
evening.
approved any, I mean, honestly.
Nothing's been signed off,
Yeah,
huh?
other than what we've talked about this evening for the furnace as a possibility and your ceiling.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm still, I did find the old quote for, I was looking for sizes that I needed for the replacement. And I had to go through email hell to find it, but, so those will be coming in for the air conditioners
Yep.
with a HEPA. So we talked about the AC splits with a HEPA.
Yep.
We talked about the air purifiers. We talked about, well, the furnace. Benji was gonna get a price on the furnace for the DPW. The Chase Park septic bathroom issue.
Yep,
Yeah.
RO systems,
yep. Where are we
water
at with
bottle
that?
filling stations.
We made any progress on the RO system, the
Yeah.
water systems?
We had a total of $11,890.
Okay.
Water bottle filling station is $70.75 each, $53.75. Then we talked about.
Did we get the 3 quotes so we can start get the, go ahead on that yet?
Yeah, Beth had them, sorry.
Okay.
And then down under provision of government services, we have pagers, portables, mobiles, radio system, windows at the library, shades in the page room. The windows at the library were $39.87, the shades were $1,011, but you haven't approved anything.
We haven't approved anything.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that I
yeah.
didn't miss something.
Right.
No,
He brought it to us.
Did you email that out,
Don't.
that piece?
no, you guys got, I mean, we're just keeping, you guys got this look.
Oh.
I just made it to this look, because it's
Okay.
easier for me.
Yeah. I'll have to look,
Can you
Didn't
update that with
notice
tonight's discussions? And
Yeah,
then
I'll have Beth
Bring
update.
that at the next meeting?
So the windows and the shades were less than the 5,000.
Right,
Right.
Well, those, I
49.
don't think those would qualify under ARPA anyway.
no.
No.
Those had nothing to do with air quality or anything like
Oh, well, no.
So we haven't, the insinuation is that's where they want to get it from.
Yeah.
Yes.
You saw that, just like, if you want to redo the tennis court for $100-something thousand.
right,
So that was everybody's wish list
yeah.
when you had the ARPA money.
Yeah.
So, Beth. All right, so she'll need to update with Eastware.
And then now that we've also heard from the fire chief regarding his intentions with the radio system, I think we need to bring number 3 back
Motorola.
and discuss it with
With Motorola?
with Motorola and the numbers for sticking with Goffstown. Because we got we're signing a
Yeah.
3-year contract with them, so.
With the escape clause.
With
With
the
an
escape
escape,
clause, yeah.
sure.
Right,
But what I think we also need to do is, we do it with the intention, okay, we're sticking with Goffstown. What's it gonna cost in the future to then modify the system to switch to cap area?
Right. Well, and.
Which is gonna be which is basically gonna be a third cost for us.
Right.
But having all that information now may make our decision,
different.
yeah.
So, I guess let me ask a question, maybe I missed it as of last week. Did the board talk about any warrant articles last week?
No.
Okay. Is the board at the consensus of putting a warrant article on for the radio improvements per Motorola's bid?
I
Don't know.
gotta see
How
numbers.
can you, can't
Yeah,
answer, we haven't
so
seen it.
I think there's.
Well, we have a rough number. We all know what a rough number is.
Yeah.
Over $1 million.
$1 million.
Correct.
Right,
But that's my question, is the consensus of the board to try and put a warrant article up this year?
No.
I guess,
I think no.
I agree.
I don't know that we have enough,
The reason why, even if I had all the numbers now, the reason why is I think it's gonna be a thin year. I think the less we put before the voters, I think we might stand a better chance of actually passing a budget for the first time in how many years?
Well, I think,
But in addition to that is, we don't know what exactly we're getting ourselves into in terms of the money for this. Personally, I'd like to spend as little as possible out of the ARPA for a lot of the stuff, and then put a large chunk of the ARPA money into a fund specifically for the radios. I'm looking at this as money sent from above, that we've needed this, and all of a sudden, here you go, folks, here's 3/4 of your way to it.
oh, and I don't disagree. My thought is that, exactly what you said, the fact that it's a thin year, the average household seeing an almost $200 increase a month because of current events,
well,
heating oil,
Food.
inflation,
gas, food.
et cetera.
They named those three things.
I think it's gonna be a thin year.
Very thin.
So I don't, and the other thing that sits on the back of my mind too is we already have 2 bonds out there currently.
Right.
We have the DPW facility that we're still paying on, and we just put $2.5 million out for roads.
Yep, and the DPW building bond is what, 2026 or 27?
26.
26, I
Six, I
believe.
think.
Right. So I'm not saying we go out that far, but I'd like to see
The
it.
road bond is 29.
I'd like to see the sunsets in view before we start really talking another one, because to me it's going to put us on shaky ground with three major bonds out there.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Well, I
Well, you're not looking at bonding, are you?
No,
Well, I mean, depends.
Well, no, you need to decide that, because you need to statutorily
Well,
schedule.
the last bond we
public
got was
hearings.
less than a % interest. I mean,
No, it was a little more
a
than,
little more.
Well,
Well, I'm not saying.
right?
I'm just thinking the actual monies that's out there.
Right.
You know, the actual capital money that's out there.
I think $1 million should be bonded. I don't think it should be raised all in 1 year.
But
But how much can
what
we
about the
have-
ARPA?
ARPA, because we're gonna get another chunk next year, correct?
we only got $900,000 to work
so
with.
we're gonna get a total of $900+ thousand
So say-
over a 2-year period.
So say we have 800 left or 750 left.
750.
You know, 750 left. It's still a substantial amount to put towards it, but when we're talking,
But that depends if we take a DPW truck out of there for 250.
I think
Can't-
it's a
can't do
stretch.
that.
I think it's a
Yeah,
stretch
that's a stretch,
on the
yeah.
ARPA money.
I do
It's
too.
not a stretch, but, no, because part of, if you calculate their formula for lost revenue, it's not a stretch.
Okay.
Just saying that, yeah.
All right.
You'd have to, I mean, Beth has done a tremendous job with every grant that's floated through here. They applied the same day for that $50,000. You know, kind of the first in line, you kind of,
I wish that it was a little more clear cut on.
yeah, it's not, you're never
You
gonna
know,
get
the
it.
thing is, and that's just it. You know, you put your neck out there, and next thing you know, it's chopped off.
Well, I mean, who knows, maybe, and this is a stretch, but all this new Biden money that just got signed today for the infrastructure. We don't know if maybe that infrastructure money, the 1 point some odd billion coming to the state
It
of New
might be
Hampshire can be
something.
used for,
Yeah.
for trucks. We
Could be
don't know.
broadband, it
Yeah.
could be, yeah.
Could be, who knows, right? So
We know we have a problem with the radios.
Oh,
We've been kicking
100%.
this thing down
kicking the can down the road a long time. Yeah.
We have, call it $800,000 left over, it's probably more, closer to $900,000. We have a substantial chunk of change. If we don't use this, then what are we gonna do? Okay, so now we're gonna go to the voters like we did for the bridge repair? Okay, can you give me $50,000
I'm
a year
hoping
for the
that we
next 4
might get
years?
some bridge money so we can come closer.
Yeah, that'd be
Right,
nice.
yeah.
But the
Right.
point is
Yeah.
how long we go to the voters and, okay, give us $50,000 a year. Okay, great. We have a potentially $2 million upgrade that needs to be done. $50,000 a year, the new hires we got are gonna retire before we get a chance to.
Oh
touch
no,
them.
I don't think that's the answer. I don't think that's the answer as far
No.
as a 50,000
No.
a year
Let's
thing.
just put some away.
But I think, you know, I definitely think that we can, you know, again, the ARPA money and, but, you know, if we're talking 1.3, 1.4, you start creeping up over that half a million, it's like,
If we can get half,
do you raise it via taxation? Do you bond it? You know, that's.
Bonding is still taxation regardless.
Well, I understand, but
It's
yeah,
just-
but that's a payment.
But you stretch it out over 5
Stretch over
years.
5 years rather than lump sum 1 year.
Lump sum, we're never gonna get it in this town.
Right, and that's, but I would rather clear up some of our other bonds a little bit more before we put that out there.
We have a sunset on this. We can't wait too long.
No, I'm not saying that.
Till what, 2025 to spend it and
Yeah.
realize it in 2026.
Right, and I'm 100% behind that. That's still 2 or 3 years.
I don't know if we can wait that long.
Well,
I
just
don't,
food
I
for
don't, I
thought.
don't think we can do it this year.
No, I don't think we can do it this year either.
Too short.
I think you're right. It's,
I think it
it's
needs more,
too,
it needs more focus than
it
what
just
we're giving
feels
it.
too
Yeah.
rushed.
Rushed, we need more.
Yeah.
You know, we know there's a problem. We do have some money, and I think carefully treading in how you want to do this for the community, I think is better,
Yeah.
looked upon better,
Mm-hmm.
than
Just,
Rushing
burning a
into
hole
it.
in my pocket, I
Yeah,
need to do
spend
it.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I don't think that's a good thing.
I would, and obviously I wouldn't ask until Jack's here, but I'd love to get a consensus from the board that, yes, the majority of this money is gonna be spent for radios. But we
Yep.
need to have that discussion once we have solid numbers
and once we have full board.
and once we have a
And
full
we'll
board.
upgrade with the numbers on here.
Yeah.
Jealous.
No.
We can do that when there's 5 of you. Just one other thing, today, so I just wanted to share with you that, this afternoon, Romeo and I went out to 139 Concord Stage Road.
Oh, good.
Out there, we found a camper.
Mhm.
We found a white GMC Envoy with a plate number that is registered until 3 of 22. We went and found there's a black Jeep Cherokee out there with another plate that is again registered and paid for until 3 of 22. There is a white CJ style Jeep that couldn't get a plate number. There's a lot of stuff around the camper. Didn't look like either one of those vehicles had moved for a few days, because with all the rain and the mud, nobody was driving in there. I did also find that, I just want to verify with Wendy, I went to the file for that property and they received a variance to build their house in 2018, and the variance expired. If they didn't exercise it, it expired May 1st of 2020, so I think the variance is expired. I guess I could reach out to them, or I could ask, I know I can't get information off the plate number, but I could give the plate numbers to the police, and if it's not the owner of the property, then we notify them that they must be somebody renting out there or squatting.
Right.
I think that's how we
Is
do it.
are taxes up to date on this property?
Great.
They owe 20 and 21s.
Okay.
I hate to ask this, is the owner still with us?
I don't know where they live. I'd have to see where the tax bill goes and where they get it back from.
Maybe
Well-
worth sending a certified letter to the name and address on record for that property.
Yeah, we can do that from the tax records
Yeah.
and see.
See if we get
Are
a
the
response.
cars registered in town?
But I can't look that up.
Legally, she
I
can't do
can't.
that.
All I can do is report a plate. They
Oh.
can tell me if it's yes, the owner, no, the owner, but they
Oh.
can't tell me who.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Because that's absolutely that's illegal.
It's
I think-
illegal.
I think step one, let's attempt to reach out to the owners with a certified letter to the
See what's
address
going
on
on.
file.
Yep.
If you guys were to look, I think if you Google, Beth and I looked today, you can see right where it's cleared, you can see the camper and you can see the other vehicles.
Okay.
So if you were to just go in that vicinity to 137 or 139 Concord Stage.
Do you have the lot number for this?
Map 202, lot, it says 1-1.1,
Really, 1.1? That low?
it's 001
Oh, okay.
dash 001.
No, I
Wow.
wanted to look at the tax. I wanted to look at,
All right, anything else? All
Nope,
set?
we're just gonna meet tomorrow night, remember?
That's
6:30?
correct. Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow night for
6:30
interviews.
upstairs.
Yes,
6:30 upstairs for interviews.
Yep.
So,
Make a motion, we adjourn?
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, please.
Aye.
good night,
Good night, folks.
happy Thanksgiving.